Mikhail wakes up in a familiar room and can barely contain his joy. He's managed to use his magic to regress 20 years into the past. The first thing he decides to do is check his level of magical power. Unfortunately, he hasn't even reached the third circle of magic yet, but he knows exactly how to fix that. He just needs to change the flow of mana within his body. Previously, it was believed that the optimal flow was clockwise inside the body, but our MC discovered a more effective method: free circulation. To achieve this, he must create 12 circulation points that allow mana to flow through all points simultaneously. It's not a painless process, and an ordinary mage could easily explode from it. But Mikhail succeeds and immediately unlocks the fourth circle of magic, thanks to his more efficient mana control. Now he can move straight to the next level. For example, he can use ice and fire magic simultaneously, or even manipulate several elements at once. But why was such a brilliant mage forced to regress? The MC of our story was the strongest mage of mankind, the first who reached the ninth circle of magic. Together with a team of the best warriors and a legendary hero, he stood against the Demon King and his army. Unfortunately, the hero was not so legendary and died first before they reached the final battle. Without the hero, it was impossible to defeat the Demon King, but their party valiantly decided to try it out. They fought bravely and desperately, but failed. In the last seconds of his life, our mage managed to unlock the 10th circle of magic and use a risky unique spell allowing him to regress. In the end, he succeeded, and even though the Demon King killed him, he went back 20 years. Back in the present, just as he finishes his training, his enraged father bursts into the room. He rushed in as soon as he learned that Mikhail had regained consciousness. All because our hero was left in such a battered state after trying to break off his relationship with the daughter of a swordsman family. His father's voice booms as he demands answers for his son's reckless actions. Instead of making excuses, Mikhail surprises him by admitting his mistakes. His candid confession leaves his father stunned, as his son openly acknowledges the shame he has brought to their family. The consequences are dire if his father's threats are serious. He promises to break his son's legs. Mikhail has no intention of accepting his father's threats. Instead, he urges him to listen to his carefully crafted plan. Our boy argues that the Duke of the Lindell family was wrong to demand an engagement annulment. This perspective catches his father's attention, forcing him to acknowledge the validity of his point. The arrogance their family has shown in dealing with the Lindells is becoming a serious issue. It is time for our boy to present the core of his bold plan. Mikhail begins by admitting his own shortcomings. He shares that his transformation occurred around the age of 23, before which he was weak and indecisive. His lack of conviction and physical fragility made him an unlikely suitor for the strong Lindell family. Their engagement, based on false assumptions, was doomed from the start. He recalls that she had expressed her dislike for unmanly men, a sentiment that still bothers him. He wonders if she had been misled by the same deception, or if her feelings were genuine. He then shifts the conversation to the terms of their engagement with the Lindell kingdom. The main condition had been that no external mana training could be done, preserving the purity of the bloodline. Our boy and his father both recognize the importance of having a successor, especially if they are to follow the paths of the knight or the mage, where bloodline is crucial. Our boy asks his father a hypothetical question to gauge his reaction. What if Eileen had broken their agreement? His father's shock is clear as Mikhail explains his theory. He believes she had secretly been training to be a knight even before their engagement. His father, stunned by this idea, asks if his son's claim is true. His son admits he has exaggerated, but he has a reason behind it. Mikhail fabricated the story to test his father's ability to detect lies. His father is impressed by his son's sharpness. Our boy then hints at his suspicions about an ancient magical tool since his father, an eighth circle, cannot detect her mana. Meanwhile, at the Lindell mansion, Eileen continues her intense training. Her father asks about Mikhail's actions after their confrontation, and she is sure her actions have gone unnoticed. Her father agrees. Both are doubtful that our boy will be her partner, as the influence of Marquis Walpurgisurgis casts a shadow over their thoughts. The Marquis is aware of their secret, and complications will arise. Even though the Walpurgisurgis family's fame is great, a hidden magical tool can still escape their notice. Eileen's powers are growing, and she is beginning to sense an aura, a sign of her exceptional talent, making her a questionable choice for a politically arranged marriage. Eileen asks her father about the engagement proposal from the Parslope country, curious about the arrival of Leon Parslope, the sword genius and the next sword saint. Eileen knows Leon would be a better choice. They are both informed of an arrival, but it is not Leon. It is the Walpurgisurgis family. At the mansion, Mikhail approaches the Lindell residence, with his butler visibly worried about the upcoming confrontation. Our boy reassures him, determined and ready to face the Lindell family and the revelations ahead. The scene shifts back to our boy's chamber, where his father asks about the ancient magic tool. Mikhail confidently confirms its existence. He explains that his earlier behavior had been a deliberate tactic to gather evidence. The conversation turns to Eileen's knowledge of the magic tool, her involvement in its use, and her true intentions behind the engagement annulment. Our boy suggests that once the engagement is dissolved, they can come up with reasons to justify their actions. His father gives an ultimatum. If our boy is lying, the consequences will be severe. Mikhail will lose his title as successor and tarnish the Walpurgis family's prestigious name. Well, it goes without saying that Mikhail accepted the ultimatum. As the story shifts to the upcoming encounter with the Lindell family, the butler remains anxious, while our boy remains resolute. He has a plan and is ready for whatever comes next. Aylin's father is shocked to hear about Mikhail Walpurgis's arrival. Mares decides to act quickly, instructing a soldier to deliver a message. He informs the soldier that he has plans for the day and cannot meet him at that moment. The soldier quickly goes to where our boy is. Mikhail, upon receiving the message, seems to understand the situation without showing any outward reaction. The soldier is relieved, thinking GE has accepted the message without objection. The butler, experienced in diplomacy and protocol, is still concerned about the true intentions behind his young master visit. Mikhail thinks about the plan that has been hinted at but not explained, trying to understand the purpose behind this mysterious meeting. However, he keeps his own intentions hidden, maintaining a confident and calm demeanor. He signals for the butler to follow him as they walk through the mansion's garden. The young master chooses a spot under an old tree and sits down. The soldier asks why he has decided to rest in the garden. Mikhail's answer is simple. He is waiting for the people he has come to meet. Our boy dismisses the idea that the wait might last for 2 days, suggesting instead that it is a matter of patience. The soldier understands the situation, especially with Count Parslope arriving soon. The soldier tells him he will escort him back, placing his hand on him to signal to move. Mikhail responds that even if the engagement is nullified, he was once the fiancé of the lady he served and is the rightful heir of the Walpurgis family. With a serious expression and blue mana glowing around him, he tells the soldier to move his hand. The soldier, intimidated, backs off. Our boy then asks if the soldier is someone important enough to lay a hand on a Walpurgis. The soldier immediately apologizes and can't believe how much our boy has changed in such a short time. Just days ago, Mikhail struggled to breathe in front of him, but now he is confident and commanding. Our boy tells the soldier that if he wants to force him out, he will give him a quicker way to do so. The soldier returns to Aylin's father and reports that he has ordered Aylin to come out immediately. Her father can't believe it and has a bad feeling about the situation. The soldier offers to remove Mikhail by force if given the order. Aylin's father declines, saying that this situation can't be solved with force. Aylin then decides to go out by herself, telling her father that she can simply turn him away like last time. She instructs the soldier to take her to the gate where he is waiting. However, the soldier notices a change in Mikhail's demeanor. The soldier hesitates, but when Aylin asks if something is wrong, he assures her there is no problem and escorts her to the gate. Back at the manor, the butler asks our boy about his sudden actions. He explains that the timing is crucial, with Count Parslope's arrival scheduled for that day. The Parslope family is set to rise in rank, especially with Leon Parslope being seen as the next Sword Saint. Mikhail had known him before his regression, and believes it is important to meet him as soon as possible. Our boy has business to attend to, and the situation is urgent. The butler, noticing his young master behavior, speculates that he might have been training without Marchios's knowledge. Mikhail, puzzled by the question, asks the butler what he means. The butler mentions that he has noticed his young master's strength is greater than that of the third circle, despite him not being a mage, but just Marchios's aid. The butler believes Mikhail might have used forbidden methods to increase his rank. Our boy then extends his hand, inviting the butler to inspect it. To their surprise, the butler discovers that his young master has reached the fourth circle. Mikhail has achieved the fourth circle just 2 days ago, which surprises the butler. The butler checks his young master body for any signs of prohibited methods but finds none. Our boy assures him that his progress is due to his innate talent. The butler, curious about how this happened, asks Mikhail to share the story. With a smile, he reveals that his father kicked him as part of the process. The butler struggles to believe our boy's unorthodox method, joking that if Mikhail endures 5 more kicks, he might reach the 9th circle. Despite this, the butler asks if his young master visit is due to anger after his ascension to the 4th circle. Our boy questions what the downfall of the Lindell family would mean, and the butler suggests it would cause great disorder. Mikhail stresses his commitment to preventing the ducal family from losing its importance as a pillar of the empire. He acknowledges that the fall of the Lindell family has worsened the empire's chaos, and he intends to take action. As they talk, Aylin approaches and asks if there is more to discuss, believing everything has already been addressed. Our boy insists on taking his time to talk and asks if there is a significant guest arriving. Aylin, surprised, can't respond, as Leon Parslope is not involved in her family's politics and focuses mainly on his sword skills. Mikhail senses that Leon's strong sense of justice will not accept the unilateral dissolution of the engagement, which had been based on certain premises. Aylin seems shocked as Mikhail hints that an unfair situation might have caused the engagement to end. He urges her to provide an official statement from the Lindell family. At that moment, the soldier enters, disapproving of our boy Walpurgis' behavior and pushing him against a tree, emphasizing that even as the heir of Walpurgis, such rudeness won't be tolerated. Our boy criticizes the soldier for his inappropriate conduct, pointing out that he lacks understanding of when to intervene. Aylin Lindell intervenes, instructing the soldier to release Mikhail and reminding him that it is the knight's duty to uphold the family's honor. The soldier complies, and our boy finds the situation unimportant. He suggests moving to a more suitable location for their conversation, as the current setting is not ideal. Island agrees and invites him inside, though the knight mentions her prior appointment. She dismisses the concern, saying they can address it later as the conversation won't take long. As our boy and his loyal butler, Murden, enter the grand Lindell mansion, a sense of nostalgia washes over him. Murden remarks that Mikhail's visits to the estate have been rare, a fact hard to ignore. Irritated, Mikhail brushes off the comment, hoping for a more agreeable response. With a touch of humor, he suggests that Murden could at least pretend to share his sentiment. The butler counters playfully, comparing his young master to an elderly man stuck in the past. Although the comment is meant in jest, it only deepens Mikhail's annoyance. Their light-hearted bickering fades as Murden shifts the conversation to the reason for their visit to the Lindell mansion. Despite arriving with the presence expected of a marquis, our boy has come alone, which Murden finds unusual. Unbothered, our boy responds with a laugh, stating that he sees no need for an entourage when his trusted butler is by his side. Their camaraderie shines as Mikhail jokes that Murden is his most reliable ally. Their walk through the mansion ends in a richly decorated living room. Our boy, eager to address the matter, acknowledges the value of Island Lindell's time. Despite the urgency, he expresses his wish to speak with her privately, instructing her knight to wait outside. Seated across from one another, Island, poised and composed, listens intently. Mikhail wastes no time and accuses her of lying to him. She remains calm, asking him to elaborate. With a resolute tone, our boy raises the matter of the solemn promise between their noble families, a promise prohibiting mana training when engaged. He presses her to recall the agreement, his words firm and unwavering. Island's expression shifts subtly as a hint of unease flickers across her face. However, she denies any breach of the promise, asserting that her family has upheld the agreement. To her, our boy's accusation appears baseless, though the tension in the room lingers. Mikhail remains firm, stating his intent to personally verify Island Lindell's claims. Though he isn't in a rush, doubts linger in his mind about the fairness of the Lindell family. To resolve the matter, he proposes settling it in front of a neutral and respected party, the Parslope family. A grand carriage arrives at the Lindell mansion as the scene shifts. Leon Parslope steps out, taking in the stark contrast between the grandeur of the Lindell estate and his own family's modest surroundings. The Lindell mansion stands unmatched in its splendor, a testament to their status. As the Empire's fifth-ranked knight, Leon senses the gravity of the day's events. His hand instinctively rests on the hilt of his sword, prepared for any challenge. The idea of a friendly duel crosses Leon's mind, intriguing him. However, his loyal knight advises caution, stressing the importance of diplomacy and discouraging any provocation toward the Lindell family's esteemed guests. With a reluctant nod, Leon sets aside his enthusiasm, understanding the wisdom in the advice. Their conversation shifts to the recent move of the Parslope family to the Empire's center. Leon reflects on his father's insistence on relocating, curious about the reasons behind the decision. The knight explains that the Count family sought to escape the Empire's border, a location often viewed as unfavorable for nobility. Border families, often overlooked by the Emperor, risk fading into obscurity. This fear compelled the Count family to seek better opportunities at the Empire's heart. Talk of nobility naturally transitions to the engagement cancellation between Island Lindell and our boy Walpurgis. Familiar with the noble families involved, Leon finds the decision puzzling and wonders if there are hidden motives behind it. The knight assures him there's nothing suspicious about Island. As a member of the Lindell family and the Walpurgis lineage, her reputation is beyond question. However, rumors surrounding our boy suggest he might not have been the best match. Leon, sensing the situation's complexity, resolves to uncover the truth. There's more to this than meets the eye, and his instincts tell him it's worth investigating. Meanwhile, back at the Lindell mansion, Island was startled by the depth of Mikhail's knowledge regarding the sacred promise between their families. His assertiveness unsettled her, his piercing gaze seeming to peel away any veneer of certainty she tried to maintain. The weight of his scrutiny was palpable, as if he were silently demanding answers she wasn't yet ready to confront. Though his presence carried an air of authority that was difficult to ignore, Island held onto her composure. She acknowledged his standing, not just as a guest in their home, but as the official representative of the Walpurgis family, fully entitled to investigate the truth behind her family's actions. With deliberate precision, our boy pulls out the emblem of the Walpurgis family. The glint of the artifact catches Island's eye, and for a moment, her usually calm demeanor falters. The emblem's significance is unmistakable. Our boy explains that it grants him the authority to represent the Walpurgis family in all official matters, leaving no room for dispute. By presenting the emblem, our boy makes it clear that the Walpurgis family is now tied to the discussion. Any dishonesty will not only reflect poorly on the Lindell family but also make Island an adversary of the Walpurgis family. With a serious expression, he questions her hesitation, suggesting it raises doubts about her honesty. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Island responds carefully. She highlights the gravity of his accusations and the potential consequences for both families. Uncertain about the next steps, she realizes she is at a difficult crossroads. The tension in the room grows as a commanding presence enters. Island's father, the Empire's 5th-ranked knight and one of the 12 swordmasters, strides in. A man who would one day lose everything to the demon god, he acknowledges Mikhail's identity and wonders if he has inherited the mythical dragon heart from his father. Our boy replies casually, stating he has never even seen the artifact. The Duke reflects on the secretive nature of Marquis Walpurgis, who has kept the dragon heart hidden, even from his own son. Their conversation reveals a sense of familiarity and respect, which our boy openly acknowledges. However, Mikhail doesn't let the discussion end there. With a slight smile, he presses the Duke for more details about the dissolution of the engagement, suggesting there is more to the story. The Duke states that the engagement ended purely because our boy was seen as unsuitable, nothing more. Our boy, unconvinced, directly accuses Island of secretly training her aura while still engaged to him. The Duke laughs at the accusation, dismissing it as absurd. He claims that, as the Empire's 5th strongest knight, he would have known if his daughter had been training in secret. Mikhail, however, does not back down. He implies that the Duke is aware of the truth but chooses to ignore it. He suggests Island may have unintentionally developed aura abilities, and that her father decided to prioritize her swordsmanship talent over her engagement. Despite these claims, the Duke continues to deny any knowledge of secret aura training. Privately, our boy acknowledges that the Duke has acted cleverly. The magical tool concealing Island's aura has even eluded Mikhail's father's perception. Additionally, the Duke's strong aura makes it hard for Mikhail to read his true intentions. In a bold move, our boy reveals that he has detected the hidden aura. Both Island and the Duke are stunned by his ability to uncover the truth. The room grows tense as he challenges them to continue denying the facts. As he turns to leave, he mentions Leon Parslope's upcoming visit, hinting at a potential confrontation. The Duke, unwilling to let Mikhail leave, calls out to stop him. In a surprising turn, he proposes a truce, suggesting they consider the matter resolved. However, our boy, unimpressed, sees the Duke's words as more of his usual empty remarks. Our boy tells the Duke and Island that he is glad they have reached an agreement and says he will see them next time. Shocked, she can't believe Mikhail has noticed her magic device. She thinks he is bluffing, but now realizes he has truly figured it out. Worry sets in as she understands the Walpurgis family has discovered the flaw in the contract and might demand a higher price. Turning to her father for guidance, Island asks what they can do. He tells her to stay calm, admitting he underestimated our boy, thinking him inexperienced and naive. The Duke now finds him impressive and interesting. Island offers to take full responsibility for the issue, acknowledging her ignorance caused the problem. Her father, however, tells her that nothing will change, even if she takes responsibility. This is a matter between families, and he is the one who allowed it to happen. Reflecting, he admits that if he had noticed her aura awakening earlier, none of this would have occurred. No one, he muses, could have predicted that Island would awaken her aura on her own, without any training. Acknowledging her talent, he expresses his determination to protect it. The Duke explains that the Walpurgis family will demand a fair price because the chivalric code has been broken, but he believes they won't ask for anything unreasonable. Our boy, it seems, does not want their family to suffer. Island, still confused, listens as her father tells her that Mikhail isn't as foolish as she thinks. He advises her to watch and learn from him. Meanwhile, outside the mansion, a figure steps in our boy's path, Leon. Introducing himself, our boy finds Leon surprised by his presence. Leon asks why he is here, stating that he came to meet Princess Lindole. Mikhail admits to making some changes and causing trouble. Annoyed, Leon tells him he thinks too little of him. Our boy, unbothered, responds that he doesn't think that way. Leon, growing irritated, releases his aura. The intense pressure fills the air, and our boy notes how well-suited Leon is for the title of Sword Saint. Yet breaking through the aura with ease, Mikhail leaves Leon stunned. Amazed, Leon asks what just happened. Calmly, our boy tells him to listen before getting angry. Leon's expression shifts, and he questions if he is really Mikhail Walpurgis, the so-called famous idiot. With a smirk, our boy confirms it, adding that since it's not entirely a lie, he doesn't feel the need to deny it. The important thing is the present, as the demon invasion approaches. With a serious expression, our boy thinks he will never forgive the warrior who rose up before transcending. Leon, noticing his expression, prepares for a confrontation. Mikhail noticed Leon's face, twisted in anger, as if ready to lash out. There was a sense of fury radiating from him, and it wasn't hard to guess what was going on in his mind. Instead of responding with the same level of intensity, our boy remained composed and acknowledged the situation with a sense of calm determination. As the two stood there, the air between them shifted. Leon, initially fired up, gradually found himself settling down, his frustration giving way to a more measured response. In his past life, our boy had often been prone to anger, but over time, he had learned to control it, using it sparingly and with purpose. This control, which he humorously referred to as his selective anger management disorder, allowed him to navigate moments like these without losing his cool. Explaining his reason for being there, Mikhail tells Leon he came to set up an engagement with Island, which should have proceeded unless something unexpected occurred. Leon, suspicious, asks if this interference is because he's angry about his engagement being broken. Dismissing the idea, our boy replies that Island no longer matters to him. Instead, he points at Leon, declaring his interest lies elsewhere. A moment of silence follows as Leon steps away cautiously, reassuring him that he likes women. Confused, Leon then asks why he's interested in him. The answer is straightforward. Our boy wants Leon to become his ally. The scene shifts to the battlefield. Before Mikhail's regression, Leon is on the verge of death. Our boy acknowledges the fatal nature of Leon's wounds, recognizing the inevitable outcome. He reflects on how, had Leon begun aura training a year earlier, he might have defeated his enemy without losing his life. Despite his condition, he can't help but admire Leon's accomplishment, defeating Violon Algum, the commander of the demon god's third army. Mikhail recalls how an entire army was required to bring down the commander of the demon god's second army, but Leon paid the ultimate price for his victory. Our boy looks at Leon, wondering if he has any final words. Leon, despite the toll on his body, seems resigned, knowing it's too late. He places a hand on Leon's head, telling him to rest. Moments before drawing his last breath, Leon silently questions the truth behind the idea that he could never become a warrior. The scene shifts back to the present, where Mikhail and Leon sit together across a table. Our boy mentions a rumor circulating within the Divine Education Bureau. Leon nods, acknowledging the prophecy about a warrior destined to prevent the coming disaster. Leon, uninterested, dismisses the mention of a prophecy, claiming it's not the first time such predictions have been made. He questions why anyone would care about something without clear consequences. Our boy responds, explaining that the prophecy is widely known across the Empire. Leon laughs it off, but Mikhail reflects on the looming threat of the demon god. He recalls Cassandra's prophecy, which surfaced before the first singles began appearing. Unlike others, this prophecy spread worldwide, yet no one truly believed it. Nothing will change until something significant occurs, and people will continue to ignore it. Except for our boy. He states that it doesn't matter whether Leon believes in the prophecy. What matters is that he wants Leon to join him. Leon dismisses it as nonsense, expressing no interest in entertaining such ideas. As he prepares to leave, Mikhail brings up the Mulier aura training method, which stops Leon in his tracks. Surprise flickers across Leon's face as he questions the truth of the claim. Our boy explains that even the greatest sword saints struggle to improve, but it's in moments like these that breakthroughs in swordsmanship begin. Having heard this directly from Leon, our boy trusts the information. He reminds Leon that the seasoned blade Muller, one of the pioneers of aura training, was among the top 5 swordsmen in history. Leon, skeptical, asks what this has to do with him. Mikhail reveals that if Leon agrees to his proposal, he will teach him the complete aura training method Muller left behind. Leon is taken aback, as Muller only left behind an incomplete book. As Leon trains using Muller's partial method, our boy reveals that he remembers the missing half of the aura training method. He explains that he's not asking for much in return. He doesn't care about Leon's engagement or status. He only wants Cassandra's prophecy. Our boy asks what Leon will choose. Leon, conflicted, doesn't understand why Mikhail is so determined to risk his life for the prophecy. Still, he admits he's tempted by the complete aura training method and can't let it slip away. He recalls rumors about his own foolishness, how the Lindell family even requested to break off his engagement with their princess. Leon wonders who he really is. Curiosity grows as Leon asks if our boy truly doesn't care about the engagement with the Lindell princess. Mikhail confirms that it doesn't matter to him, as she isn't important right now. He adds that the Walpker family isn't easily swayed. Leon sees the confidence in our boy, as if he doesn't care at all about what others think of him. Intrigued, Leon reflects on his first impression of him, which had been terrible, but now he's beginning to think maybe he's not so bad. Leon challenges him to prove he knows the Mulier aura training method. Without hesitation, Mikhail tells Leon to follow him, and he'll demonstrate. They head to a nearby training ground. Leon asks if they're allowed to use someone else's training area without permission. He assures him that he already secured permission. As our boy swings the sword, he finds it heavy, and uses strength magic to enhance himself. Then, he tells Leon that he will demonstrate the Mulier aura training method. He explains that Muller's method is twice as efficient as other training techniques, which contributed to Muller's fame for his efficiency. While the principles of Muller's method are similar to other techniques, it's the execution that sets it apart. The Mers aura training method imprints a unique engraving on the user's body. Unlike other methods that cap at a limit of 40, Muller's method raises the limit to 70. Mikhail asks Leon to awaken his aura so he can observe it. Leon does so, and our boy notes that while it's not very distinct, it's definitely the engraving of Muller's aura. Curious, our boy asks if Leon has learned part of Muller's technique. Leon confirms he has, but admits it's incomplete, and it's all he can manage for now. Mikhail is surprised that Leon found the Mers training manual. Leon explains that he was lucky, spending a long time searching for it, and finally finding it with his father's help, only to discover it was half complete. Our boy reflects that this outcome was inevitable since it was Leon's first time with a training method. The old Leon had predicted his end and passed down the training method to Mikhail, though he hadn't expected things to turn out this way. Deciding it's time to return the technique to Leon, Mikhail tells him to watch carefully as he demonstrates a few swings using the method. Relaxing, he channels mana into the sword and begins the demonstration. Leon is surprised. It really is the Mullier Aura training method. Mikhail can maintain it for 30 seconds. Leon, confused, asks if Mikhail is a mage, which he admits. Leon asks our boy to teach him, and Mikhail agrees, but Leon must come to the Walpurgis family to learn. Our boy leaves, promising to teach him when he's ready. As our boy exits, he runs into the Duke, realizing the Duke had been watching him. The Duke apologizes to him and his family. The Duke tells Mikhail that he will leave the matter of compensation up to him, surprising our boy. Despite not knowing what our boy might ask for, the Duke remains calm. Mikhail finds the Duke's composure fitting for the head of a powerful family in the Empire. Apologizing for coming alone, our boy expresses hope that the proposal of marriage between the Lindell family and Leon Parslope goes well. The Duke, impressed, remarks that he seems more cunning than himself, revealing that the engagement is already over. The Duke guesses that the outcome aligns with what Mikhail wanted. Smiling, Mikhail explains that he only offered Leon another option. He believes Leon, being meticulous, must have thought the engagement was broken off because the Walpurgis family wasn't worthy. However, the Duke says he saw Leon today and suspects Leon now thinks Mikhail is different from the rumors. This could make Leon reconsider the reasons behind the broken engagement. The Duke then asks our boy if he believes the Lindell family will ever regain the trust of the Walpurgis family. Our boy tells the Duke that the Lindell family can regain trust if they show sincerity with open actions. The Duke chuckles, finding this amusing. He then asks the Duke what he thinks about finding a suitable teacher for Eason. The Duke, surprised, asks if Mikhail is implying that their family's swordsmanship doesn't suit her. He clarifies that's not what he means, but wonders if something else might be better for her. The Duke considers this for a moment and remarks that our boy really does have a cunning mind. Mikhail brushes it off as a misunderstanding. The scene shifts to the Walpurgis mansion. Mikhail's father is pleased to hear that his son exposed the Lindell family's plan. Jokingly, our boy tells his father that he's speaking heartlessly because his eyes don't show any warmth. He responds that he has no idea what his son is talking about. Mikhail remarks that such sharp wit must run in the Walpurgis bloodline. The news arrives that Duke Lindell has sent a message, saying he will visit them personally to apologize. This likely means the Duke will request them to keep the matter private, as it could severely damage the reputation of a family built on chivalry. The Walpurgis family has gained a lot from this situation, especially since he never liked the Lindell family. He asks what the Duke of Lindell said to our boy. He replies that the Duke didn't say much, except asking if the Lindell family could ever regain the trust of the Walpurgis family. He assured him it was possible if they showed true sincerity. Mikhail's father advises him to remain cautious, warning that it's not wise to display emotions openly. Our boy then says he has a request, given how well the situation has turned out. His father urges him to speak. Mikhail requests that he be allowed to handle the remainder of this situation, arguing that since he uncovered and resolved the issue, it's only fair that he finishes it as well. After considering it, Mikhail's father observes that his son has grown more confident and capable. However, he cautions that this is a delicate matter involving two powerful families, and there's a lot at stake. Our boy acknowledges the risk, but asserts that without his actions, no one would have discovered the Lindell family's plans. While it might seem a little selfish, he feels strongly about seeing this through to the end. Though agreeing, his father reminds him to be careful. The Duke of Lindell is a cunning man, known for his reputation as a symbol of chivalry, but also for his craftiness and ability to manipulate situations. Facing the Duke directly will be necessary to finish this job. Our boy replies confidently that he understands and is ready to handle it. His father agrees, saying it's something Mikhail would have to face eventually. His son assures him that he won't let him down, shaking his head with determination. As our boy leaves, his father calls out to praise his efforts, smiling as he reflects on how much Mikhail has changed. He thinks about how the once immature boy has grown so quickly, and wonders if fate has sped things up. Standing up, he decides to prepare for the upcoming negotiations with the Duke, even though he has entrusted the matter to our boy. He knows he can't sit idly and must support the family's position. Meanwhile, the challenges ahead are clear. The family's reputation as the strongest magic family could be destroyed due to inner conflict. Power struggles among the elders have already caused significant damage. During these disputes, he was used as a pawn, which contributed to the family's decline. The butler is asked if Viscount Nostro was involved in the days leading up to the engagement being called off. The butler confirms this, explaining that Viscount Nostro is a 7th Circle mage, a key vassal of the family, and someone who has supported the family since his youth. Although competent, Nostro's critical flaw is his ambition. He doesn't want to remain a vassal, but seeks to become the center of the family. The idea that Nostro might have manipulated events is dismissed, but it becomes clear that the Viscount cannot be ignored. The butler agrees, sharing that he feels the same way. A follow-up question is asked about why the butler holds this belief. The butler reveals that he was the one who taught the third magic circle, which explains why the bond of reliance was formed. Reflecting on the past, there's a realization that the third circle, once a symbol of joy, was unstable, likely due to Nostro's influence. The butler becomes angry, suspecting that Nostro may have deliberately taught an incomplete or flawed method. Embarrassment follows for having relied on Viscount Nostro in the past. However, cutting off potential threats is the only logical course of action for the family's future. Nostro's unchecked ambition, despite being a close friend who helped the family during difficult times, has ultimately contributed to its downfall. The decision is made to ensure history does not repeat itself. A firm instruction is given for the butler to bring Viscount Nostro to the room. Doubt is expressed, with the belief that Nostro won't come just because he's called. The reassurance follows that Nostro is likely expecting a summons and will come willingly. A few moments later, Viscount Nostro arrives, smiling confidently. He assumes that our boy is about to ask for guidance on magic circles. However, Mikhail surprises him with a proposal that leaves Nostro puzzled. Our boy challenges the Viscount to a duel, but with one condition: no magic circles. The memories of the past flood Mikhail's mind. He recalls the time before the family's ruin, when Nostro's unchecked power played a significant role in the destruction. The family was on the brink of collapse, barely surviving. Mikhail's father, once the greatest mage in the family, had been bedridden for a long time, and many high-level mages had abandoned the family, leaving them defenseless. The arrival of the demon god's disciples was the final blow. The last hope was Viscount Nostro, the only 8th circle mage left. Everyone, including our boy, watched with bated breath, hoping Nostro would use his magic to defeat the disciples. Instead, Nostro surrendered, sealing the family's fate. In that moment, Mikhail swore that if he ever had the chance, he would make Nostro pay for his betrayal. Back in the present, Nostro is shocked by our boy's challenge. Mikhail, however, expresses doubt about Nostro's worthiness to teach him. Despite Nostro's help in forming Mikhail's 3rd magic circle, he coldly asserts that it wasn't enough. This response infuriates the Viscount. He angrily reminds him that he gave everything to teach him, but Mikhail remains unmoved. Our boy remains calm, explaining that he didn't say he didn't trust Nostro. He simply isn't sure. He presses Nostro to prove his worth, stating that, for someone of his skill, defeating a mere 3-circle mage should be easy. Nostro asks how he should prove himself. Our boy proposes a bet. They will fight using magic but without relying on circles. If Mikhail loses, he will become Nostro's disciple and swear his loyalty on the Walpurgis family name. If he wins, Nostro will become his student. Intrigued, the Viscount agrees to the challenge. Later, in his room, Nostro reflects on the situation. He considers our boy foolish for proposing such a match. Fighting without circles might be a minor disadvantage, but the difference in their magic levels is immense. Nostro believes victory is inevitable. He dismisses Mikhail as a naive child, even though he hails from the prestigious Walpurgis bloodline. In Nostro's mind, this is his chance to rise in power. Defeating him will bring him closer to his ultimate goal, securing a position where not even the head of the family can challenge him. Becoming the master of both Mikhail and the Walpurgis family will be within his grasp. The scene shifts to Mikhail's room, where the butler has just heard about the match with the Viscount and is terrified at the idea of Mikhail fighting him. Mikhail tells the butler not to worry. The butler asks if his young master really agreed to let the Viscount teach him if he loses, pointing out that this would give the Viscount significant power. The young master assures him that he is aware of this. The butler, speechless, warns Mikhail that the Viscount is a wicked man and not someone he should follow as a master. Our boy reflects on the Viscount's cunning nature and asks the butler why the Viscount is still part of the family despite his actions. The butler explains that it's because the Viscount has been close to his young master father since their youth. Mikhail agrees, saying the Viscount was his father's comrade and friend. His father would never expel the Viscount because of the respect and love he still holds for him. However, our boy declares that he will personally deal with the Viscount through this match. He will ensure the Viscount can no longer act against the family. In the world of mages, a bet is a promise made through magic, and breaking it causes the person to lose the support of magic itself. This means that if our boy wins, he will gain the advantage in the fight. The butler thinks this is a good plan, but only if Mikhail can defeat the Viscount. He asks if his young master sure he can win. Our boy confidently assures him that he will win, stating that the Viscount could never defeat him. In the dimly lit room of the Lindell estate, Mikhail declares with certainty to the butler that the Viscount will not be able to defeat him. The butler, surprised, raises an eyebrow and asks how his young master is so sure. His young master's response is swift and confident, making it clear that he is certain of his victory. Mikhail reveals the condition for the upcoming duel. Viscount Nostro can only use circle magic up to the level that our boy himself can master. The butler, looking serious, frowns as he considers the implications. He questions his young master's decision to challenge a 7th circle mage like Count Nostro, while only having access to 4 circles of magic himself. Still doubtful, the butler asks Mikhail again if he is serious about the challenge. Frustrated, the butler pulls a folded document from his coat pocket, a resignation letter, showing his dissatisfaction with his young master's bold decision. Our boy makes a bold move. With a quick motion, he uses fiery magic to burn the resignation letter to ashes, sending a clear message that the butler should trust his decision. Still doubtful, the butler questions him. How could a fourth circle mage like Mikhail hope to defeat a seventh circle mage like Count Nostro? Our boy, unfazed, challenges the butler's certainty, asking if he is sure Count Nostro truly has the power of 7 circles. The butler admits he isn't certain. His young master then assures him that he wouldn't have issued the challenge without believing there was a way to win. As he explains his suspicions about Count Nostro's mastery of the 7 circles, the butler grows more frustrated and once again reaches for another resignation letter. Mikhail steps in firmly, telling the butler to reconsider and refusing to accept his resignation. Determined to keep him by his side, his young master calmly explains the details of his strategy. Advancing to higher circles of magic requires mastering the basics of the lower circles, our boy points out. However, Viscount Nostro has skipped this critical step. This shortcut has left the Viscount with an unstable grasp of 7th circle magic. Mikhail explains that while the Viscount can mimic the abilities of a 7th circle mage, it is not true mastery. It is a facade, lacking the depth needed for a real battle. In a true magical duel, spells created with deeper understanding and skill will overpower superficial ones. The young master concludes by emphasizing that an opponent with superior knowledge and control will always win. The scene shifts to his father's chamber, a place of authority in the Lindell estate. Our boy approaches his father, the head of the family, to inform him about his upcoming challenge against Viscount Nostro. It has only been a day since he pledged to take over the Lindell family business. His father reacts with anger, slamming his fist on the table and demanding an explanation. Confused and upset, he questions Mikhail's sudden change in priorities and even considers whether he might have to take drastic measures to make his son see reason. Unmoved by his father's confusion, his son locks eyes with him, expressing his seriousness without hesitation. His father, still grappling with the situation, tries to make sense of his son's sudden change in ambition. For a brief moment, our boy wonders if his father might have mistakenly believed that he intended to train under Viscount Nostro as part of the intense challenge he had undertaken. Mikhail reassures his father, firmly stating that he has no intention of losing the duel. He questions why anyone would enter a challenge expecting defeat, and confidently declares that Viscount Nostro will end up becoming his student. His father, still angry, asks where the duel will take place, intending to intervene and stop what he sees as a reckless decision. Our boy calmly assures him that no intervention is necessary. In an attempt to understand, his father questions how someone with the abilities of a 4th circle mage, like our boy, could possibly defeat a powerful 7th circle mage, such as Viscount Nostro. Mikhail's response is simple, yet confident. He would never have accepted the challenge if he didn't have full faith in his ability to succeed. The conversation then shifts to the consequences of defeat, and our boy reveals a startling outcome if he were to lose. Our boy revealed that if he lost the duel, he was prepared to become Viscount Nostro's student. This admission only served to infuriate his father even further, the tension surrounding the duel escalating. With an unwavering resolve, Mikhail made a surprising promise, offering a sacrifice that would shock anyone. If it could bring peace to their family, he would willingly offer up his legs to his father. Shocked by our boy's conviction, his father ultimately relents. As Mikhail leaves the chamber, a sense of closure washes over him. His father's reluctant approval has been secured. With everything in place, he is ready to face Viscount Nostra. Our boy reflects on the likely thoughts of Nostra, convinced that the Viscount sees himself as the inevitable victor, already planning how to use the Lindell family to his advantage. However, our boy has complete faith in his own abilities, drawing on the knowledge and skills gained from a past life that has sharpened his understanding of magic. Nostra is nothing more than the illusion of a 7th circle mage, and our boy is determined to expose the truth. The scene shifts to the Walpurgis magic practice room, a space designed to withstand spells up to the 6th circle. This room, marked by the Walpurgis family's emblem, is equipped with tools and barriers to manage the effects of powerful magic. Mikhail enters the chamber feeling a wave of nostalgia. It is a place where possibilities seem endless. To demonstrate his skill, he uses a spell called Magic Missile, a simple 1st circle spell. Its simplicity makes it a basic spell, but with experience and skill, even such a basic spell can be enhanced. In his demonstration, our boy modifies the spell, making the Magic Missile controllable rather than just a basic, targeted projectile. Our boy's enhancement of the Magic Missile elevates its complexity to that of a 5th circle spell, showcasing his advanced magical skill. After chanting the incantation, he releases the spell, causing a powerful and precise explosion in the room. His mastery of mana control, the ability to manipulate magical energy with precision, highlights his expertise. This skill distinguishes high circle mages from their lower circle counterparts. Briefly, Mikhail's thoughts drift to his past life. Although his body is now youthful, his mind retains the wisdom and knowledge of years past, deeply ingrained within him. With the demonstration complete, our boy has an hour left before his duel with Viscount Nostra. He decides to use this time to further study his magical repertoire, preparing himself for the critical battle. This confrontation will determine not only the future of the Lindell family, but also the fate of the Walpurgis domain. In the world of magic, there is a clear divide between those who genuinely understand the mystical arts and those whose power is merely an illusion. Our boy is determined to prove where he stands. Viscount Nostra collapses to his knees, clutching his chest in pain. The confident aura fades as he struggles to breathe, his composure slipping. Mikhail's father, a commanding and dignified presence, steps forward, inquiring about the nature of the wager between the two. The Viscount, recovering from the pain, admits that Mikhail initiated the challenge, his voice tinged with satisfaction, as though believing the duel would push our boy to reach new heights as a mage. Mikhail's father expresses his concern, reminding the Viscount of the countless times he has supported him, stressing the long-standing bond between them. This connection is what brings him here, as a witness to the duel that will determine much for their families. Viscount Nostra, his smile masking deeper thoughts, acknowledges the role Mikhail's father has played in his life, showing respect. He then nods in recognition of the favors Mikhail's father has extended. Yet, Mikhail's father, now serious, asks a pointed question that causes the Viscount to falter in confusion. He does not fully grasp the meaning behind it and looks to Mikhail's father with uncertainty. Sensing the weight of his father's words, Mikhail shifts his focus back to the duel. His resolve strengthens, bolstered by his father's support, though he is already determined to succeed on his own. As preparations continue, Mikhail's father acts decisively, casting a spell that summons massive azure chains to encircle the Viscount, sealing his magical abilities. According to the agreement, the Viscount is restricted to using no magic above the 4th circle for the duration of the duel. Despite these restraints, the Viscount remains unshaken, turning to our boy with an unreadable expression. The duel begins, and the Viscount casts slow, intending to hinder our boy's movements and gain an advantage. In response, Mikhail immediately counters with confusion, a spell that disrupts the flow of the Viscount's mana, preventing him from completing his incantation. Taken aback by the interruption, the Viscount is surprised by our boy's mastery over magic, far exceeding what would be expected from someone of his rank. Our boy's control reveals a level of understanding that the Viscount had severely underestimated. Regaining his composure, Viscount Nostra unleashes 2 powerful spells in quick succession, Fireball and Windbreaker, forcing them forward with force. He aims to show that the gap between magical ranks lies not just in the types of spells cast, but in the broader mastery of magical principles. Mikhail prepares for the incoming attack, swiftly casting Earthbreak to form a sturdy barrier in front of him. Despite his efforts, the combined force of Viscount Nostra's spells overwhelms the shield, shattering it in an instant. Without hesitation, our boy summons a second layer of defense with the mana barrier. A powerful shield materializes around him, absorbing the impact of the Viscount's magic effortlessly. The contrast in their magical prowess becomes glaringly clear. Our boy realizes the truth in the Viscount's earlier words about bridging the gap between physical strength and skill. While physical combat often hinges on raw power, magic offers a different kind of battlefield, one where strategy, intellect, and calculated mastery can tip the scales. With renewed confidence, Mikhail presses forward, wielding his spells with growing precision. Magic, he knows, holds the potential to accomplish feats that transcend the ordinary. He begins by casting Magic Missile, a simple first circle spell, but elevates it far beyond its basic form through multicasting. Pink mana swirls around him, enveloping him in a vibrant aura that pulses with energy. The unassuming spell now carries the intensity and complexity of magic from higher tiers. Releasing the enhanced spell, our boy directs the concentrated arcane force toward Viscount Nostra. The Viscount anticipates the attack, summoning a protective shield that absorbs the blast with a deafening clash, demonstrating his own proficiency in magic. Viscount Nostra maintains his composure, his confidence unshaken, dismissing our boy's assault as ineffectual. However, the battle takes a sudden shift. Mikhail, his focus unwavering, chants the incantation for Explode. A surge of magical energy erupts from his hands, creating a massive explosion that tears through Viscount Nostra's protective shield. The Viscount, stunned by the sheer power of the attack, is left struggling to grasp the magnitude of our boy's abilities. The explanation behind our boy's feat is clear yet profound. He has calculated the energy required for the spell and skillfully manipulated the magical parameters to amplify its strength. His strategic approach to magic pushes his capabilities far beyond the expected, underscoring his growing mastery. Frustration bubbles within Viscount Nostra, who, in his disbelief, strikes the wall in anger. Yet, despite his accusation, Mikhail stands resolute, his actions adhering strictly to the principles of the duel. He makes it known that his methods remain legitimate, unwavering in his resolve. Realization strikes Viscount Nostra as he faces Mikhail's unyielding determination. Overcome with unease, he falls to his knees, his earlier deceit now laid bare. Mikhail acknowledges the Viscount's admission, his expression softening slightly, but his focus remains unwavering. With newfound clarity, Mikhail casts another spell at Viscount Nostra. The Viscount, still recovering, summons his protective shield once again, bracing for the oncoming assault. The shield absorbs the majority of the energy, but the strain it endures is palpable. Frustration overtakes Viscount Nostra as he confronts the reality that he is being outmatched by a mage who has only just ascended. Regaining composure, Mikhail stands tall, his resolve strengthened. Determined to prove the power of a 7th Circle mage, he focuses on the task at hand, intent on demonstrating the true extent of his magical mastery. The battle is far from over, and he is ready to show that his control over magic is unparalleled. Viscount Nostra, unshaken by the previous exchange, remains steadfast. Undeterred by the previous efforts, he repeats his earlier spell, sending it hurtling toward our boy, anticipating another round of magical combat. As the spell nears, Viscount Nostra calls upon his protective shield once more. This time the shield is reinforced, a defensive move aimed at ensuring that no damage reaches him. The added layer intercepts the incoming magic and disrupts its flow, preventing the explosion that was expected to follow. The Viscount, with his magic at the ready, begins casting his own spell. Through the use of multicasting, a technique that allows multiple spells to be cast simultaneously, he begins the next phase of his attack. A fiery aura envelops him, and his eyes gleam with renewed purpose. Our boy's father watches, impressed by the complexity of the 4th Circle multicasting. For even among 7th Circle mages, performing multicasting at lower-tier spells is a rare and impressive feat, one that displays the Viscount's skill and dedication. With fierce determination, Viscount Nostra unleashes 3 potent spells at once, directing the combined energy toward Mikhail. The intensity of the spells marks the climax of his efforts, and he believes that victory is within his grasp. Both Mikhail's father and the Viscount are certain that the fight is nearing its conclusion, with the Viscount confident in his impending triumph. But something extraordinary happens. Our boy, displaying an incredible depth of magical control, counters the Viscount's barrage with ease. The combined spells dissipate in midair before they can even reach him, nullified completely. Our boy's father and the Viscount are left speechless, unable to comprehend how a newly ascended mage could so effortlessly neutralize such a powerful assault. Viscount Nostra, unwilling to concede, casts 3 more spells in rapid succession: Ice Spear, Demon Hands, and Sharpness Magic. He intends to overwhelm Mikhail with a full-on magical barrage. But in a surprising turn, Mikhail responds with a single, seemingly simple spell: Magic Missile. The force of his spell breaks through the Viscount's combined magic effortlessly, further underscoring the disparity between their abilities. Viscount Nostra is at a loss, unable to comprehend how his spells are so easily overpowered. It becomes increasingly apparent that our boy's innate talent for magic far exceeds the Viscount's years of experience. The gap between them is vast, one that cannot be bridged through hard work alone. The realization leaves the Viscount stunned, questioning the very nature of the disparity before him. Despite the overwhelming evidence of his growing strength, our boy downplays his abilities, attributing his success to coincidence. His father, however, presses him on the matter, suggesting that there might be more to it than mere luck. Mikhail, though, remains humble, offering only a simple response about his heritage, without elaborating further. Mikhail's father trusts him deeply, yet he questions his intent behind the recent battle. Curiosity rises. Was it to show off his abilities or to prove something more? The conversation turns to the role of the Viscount in our boy's life. While the Viscount is a trusted advisor and a friend, his father suggests that the Viscount may not be the best teacher for him. This prompts our boy to reflect on why he chose to showcase his skills to his father, rather than turning to the Viscount for guidance. Mikhail's response is clear. He has no intention of being taught by the Viscount. His actions, he insists, aren't driven by emotion or the desire for validation. There's no plan to remove the Viscount from his position, but Mikhail sees the situation differently. His understanding is shaped by the unique bond he shares with his father, the only person our boy considers an equal. The loneliness that comes with leadership has influenced his perspective, making him cautious about keeping potential threats close, even though he trusts his father not to cause harm. His father sees through this, realizing it's the reason for our boy's recent decisions. Mikhail accepts responsibility for managing the Viscount's role moving forward, determined to safeguard the future of the family legacy. In the Viscount's room, a sense of defeat lingers. The realization that a young mage at the 4th level has bested him shakes him to his core. The presence of the Marist further complicates the situation, ensuring that there's no escaping the outcome. The Viscount grapples with the implications of his failure, questioning the path that led him here. Just as he begins to process this, Mikhail steps into the room, a move that takes the Viscount by surprise. The unexpected arrival raises questions. Why is our boy here? Our boy reminds the Viscount of the terms they agreed upon for their battle. The consequences of the duel were clear. The reward was to form a master-student relationship, yet the Viscount finds himself puzzled. How could Mikhail have known he would win? What was the true nature of the prize, beyond the obvious humiliation? The Viscount wonders if Mikhail has something more elaborate in mind, a deeper strategy at play. Perhaps this is part of a test. Our boy, however, shifts the conversation. His focus is not on personal gain, but on securing the family's future. The Viscount, recognizing our boy's determination, understands the gravity of the situation. He acknowledges that action is necessary, particularly given the events that have transpired. The Viscount sees Mikhail's resolve and agrees that it's time to act. He offers his full support, ready to assist in whatever manner Mikhail sees fit. With a smirk, our boy takes control of the situation. He reminds the Viscount that the terms of the duel are clear. He is now the master. The Viscount, caught off guard by our boy's demand, is stunned. He hadn't expected to be commanded in such a way by his recent adversary, now turned student. Mikhail, with a serious and unwavering expression, makes it clear that his request is sincere. The Viscount, noticing Mikhail's determination, realizes that this is not a casual wager, but a serious commitment he has to face. Understanding the weight of the decision, the Viscount considers his options. He acknowledges that he needs to address the potential consequences of this bet, no matter the cost. He expresses his concerns to our boy, reminding him of his own status as a 7th Circle mage who had supported the Marquis and held a significant position. He feels that becoming our boy's student is not suitable for someone of his stature. Mikhail urges the Viscount to set aside those thoughts and not trivialize the importance of a mage's promise. Mikhail emphasizes that a mage's promise is a binding commitment, with high stakes. Breaking such a promise could lead to the loss of magical circles and abilities. The Viscount, growing frustrated, points out that he has more magical circles and is older than our boy. He questions the idea of someone with his experience becoming a student. Our boy firmly states that the transformation is already happening, and that the Viscount's new role as a student is non-negotiable. They then go to the arena, where the Viscount publicly acknowledges Mikhail as his master. The Viscount understands that in his new role as a student, he needs to show commitment and follow the agreement. However, deep inside he is conflicted. He knows that failing in this role could result in the loss of his magical circles. Mikhail, now the Viscount's teacher, takes on the responsibility of imparting knowledge. He doesn't feel satisfied just defeating the Viscount immediately. He remembers his own experiences before he had transcended and knows there is more to achieve. Viscount, however, initially resists the idea of learning from our boy. He notices the instability in the Viscount's magical circles, which affects his ability to use magic properly. Our boy believes that with some pressure, the Viscount's emotional pain will reveal the instability in his circles. He causes the Viscount to experience physical pain, which leaves him writhing on the ground. Our boy realizes that to truly understand magic and develop one's circles, a proper link to the circles is needed. He explains that it is possible to create circles without transcending, a state called an apostle. With the Viscount's circles broken, Mikhail offers to teach him how to calm and restore them. The Viscount is surprised to learn that our boy knows about his circles. Viscount wonders if the Marquis has shared this information with our boy, and begins to suspect that the entire battle has been planned by the Marquis. Mikhail dismisses these thoughts and tells the Viscount to stop making baseless claims. He explains that the unusual signs in the Viscount's magic during the battle showed something was wrong. Additionally, the Viscount's physical symptoms, like clutching his heart, are typical of mages with unstable circles. Mikhail makes a grim prediction, stating that the Viscount will not survive in his current state. He explains that the only way to save the Viscount is to remove the ring mana causing the instability. Our boy offers to absorb the ring mana from the Viscount, which would cause the Viscount to lose 5 circles, but ultimately benefit both of them. The Viscount is shocked at the idea of losing his hard-earned circles, which he has worked tirelessly to achieve. Our boy argues that the Viscount's circles are causing more harm than good. Before his transcendence, the Viscount had been deteriorating, and his circles had led him down a dark path. Mikhail emphasizes that the Viscount's circles serve no practical purpose and are just for show. The Viscount had stacked his circles to impress the Marquis Walpurgis, a futile effort that has no real value. Even Marquis Lindell is aware of the Viscount's situation, but has chosen to ignore it. Realizing the uselessness of his previous actions, the Viscount accepts our boy's offer. He agrees to let our boy absorb his mana and remove the problematic ring mana. After absorbing the Viscount's mana, Mikhail reaches the 5th circle in his magical abilities. For Mikhail, reaching the 5th circle feels easy, but the Viscount feels discouraged after losing his circles. For our boy, absorbing the Viscount's mana is an urgent task and only the beginning of their efforts. Our boy knows that the challenges ahead are difficult. He thinks about the prophecy from Cassandra, which predicted the resurrection of the demon god in 7 years. Ignoring the prophecy would have serious consequences, leaving the world unprepared to face the demon god's power. Even in its incomplete form, the demon god is overwhelming, and no force can resist it. The Empire realizes this too late when the 7th-ranked knight, Steel Keelan, is defeated by the demon god. A great disaster is approaching. Efforts to gather heroes and allies have failed, and half of the Empire is destroyed, leaving no time for a coordinated response. In a last-ditch effort to fight back, the Temple summons warriors to form a subjugation squad called Argo. Mu is part of this squad. During this time, Cassandra, the Oracle, becomes the most important person. Despite her young age, she has foreseen the disaster and shared her prophecies, often at great personal cost. Cassandra's prophecies are true, but no one has listened to her warnings, even as she suffers physically. During Mikhail's early days, Cassandra's prophecies were disregarded because no one believed her. Mikhail thinks about the uselessness of ignored prophecies. He also wonders about Cassandra's fate, assuming she has met an unfortunate end, unless she has undergone transcendence, though he finds that unlikely. Our boy then focuses on his own plans. He decides to join the warrior selection but faces a problem. How to find Cassandra, who has left the temple after her prophecies were dismissed. He needs to contact her but doesn't know how. At that moment, our boy's butler enters, announcing a guest with business. The guest is Leon Parslope, an important figure. Mikhail meets with Leon, who asks about the training method Mikhail had mentioned earlier. Our boy is surprised by Leon's early arrival, assuming Leon is busy with his own engagement. However, Leon clarifies that the training method is more important to him than the engagement. He reveals that he has never been enthusiastic about the engagement and urges our boy to expedite the training process. Mikhail introduces an unexpected condition to their agreement, much to Leon's annoyance. Leon questions the new stipulation, expressing his displeasure. Despite this, Mikhail assures him that the condition won't be harmful. Leon insists on knowing the condition, and our boy explains that it is related to a dungeon. Leon claims to know nothing about it, but our boy's sharp perception leads him to believe Leon is lying. He can see the uncertainty in Leon's eyes and accuses him of being a poor liar. Mikhail presses him further, revealing that Leon's father, Count Parslope, discovered the dungeon a year ago. Mana had been found in the dungeon, and Count Parslope declared it a monostone mine. However, most of the investigation teams sent into the dungeon had gone missing. The financial strain from these expeditions was the reason behind the engagement with the Lindell princess. Leon is shocked that our boy knows about the situation, suspecting a spy within their family. Our boy clarifies that he learned the information from rumors among warriors, making it an educated guess, not espionage. Curious about the dungeon, Mikhail expresses interest in learning more. Leon asks Mikhail what is really happening, as most of their investigation teams haven't returned. They have named the place a dungeon, but it might as well have been a nightmare. A raid couldn't simply be launched into it. Mikhail thinks that the Parslope family has clung to the dungeon until the end, but now someone else has uncovered its secrets and claimed all the rewards. Our boy offers to help Leon by taking on the dungeon himself, replacing the investigation team. Leon is puzzled and wonders if our boy believes he can succeed where experienced mercenaries have failed. Mikhail, however, is confident and assures Leon that dungeon exploration is a basic task for mages. This irritates Leon, who wonders why Mikhail is so sure of himself. Our boy reassures Leon that his actions won't harm his family and might even benefit them by uncovering the dungeon's secrets, even if he fails. Grateful for our boy's offer, Leon considers the training ahead. Mikhail promises to teach him after they deal with the dungeon, and Leon agrees, though he mentions the final decision rests with his father. Later, Mikhail approaches his father to discuss the situation. His father is surprised by the news and reminds our boy of his commitment to look after the Lindell family, expressing confusion over the sudden change of plans. Our boy tries to explain that this new venture is connected to his previous promise. He mentions hearing that the Parslope family has become the new engagement partner for the Lindell family. His father wonders if Mikhail is planning to cause trouble there, but Mikhail reassures him that he has no such intentions. He also emphasizes the importance of a mage's word and his promise to Leon Parslope. A lighthearted argument about whether a particular object is a bat or a staff briefly interrupts the conversation. Our boy tries to steer the discussion away from the argument and hints at another reason for his decision, but refuses to share the details. His father grows more agitated and asks if he can trust our boy. Mikhail grins and confirms that his father has always been able to trust him. As Mikhail reflects, he is troubled by his father's trust in him, considering his past regrets and attempts to escape his role. Since his father's passing, these thoughts remind him of why he gave up on pursuing a career as a warrior. His father wants to know if our boy is confident enough to handle the matters concerning the Lindell family. Our boy acknowledges the connection, but doesn't reveal any more details about his plans. His father eventually relents and tells him to do as he sees fit. Suddenly, Mikhail senses an external presence and asks his father if he has a guest. His father, however, can't see anything unusual. Mikhail, feeling a bit embarrassed, attributes it to his mistake and leaves the room. Unbeknownst to him, the anonymous presence in the room is the butler, who then speaks with our boy's father. The butler notes the significant changes in our boy's character, pointing out how he has become bolder and his magic has grown exceptionally strong, without any involvement in witchcraft. He emphasizes that this is undoubtedly Mikhail's own talent, though he might have realized it later than others. The butler explains that this development isn't uncommon for those with the blood of the W Purges, given their history and connection to the W Purges family spirit. Mikhail's father decides that the butler should accompany our boy to the Parslope territory, as agreed in their contract. Later, as our boy and Leon prepare to depart, the butler, despite his own health issues, joins them. He explains that this is at the request of Mikhail's father, who is concerned about the potential trouble Mikhail might encounter. Our boy wonders about the butler's true intentions and whether there is more to him than appears. The butler joins them and they begin their journey to the Parslope territory. When their carriage arrives, Leon notices the heaviness in our boy's demeanor and, curious, asks about it. Mikhail, known for his understatement, responds by expressing surprise at the resilience of the Parslope family and their strong attachment to the harsh land. His thoughts shift to his father, who would have admired their tenacity. Mikhail sees that the allure of the place goes beyond appearances, touching the collective spirit of its citizens. Our boy reconsiders his initial impressions of the land and realizes its indomitable spirit, one that commands respect. His view shifts further as he sees the Helen Forest Road, a remarkable structure of minerals stretching like a ribbon of gemstones. This road isn't just a luxury, it's vital to the Pars Slope family's ingenuity and survival, an essential part of the land's character. He shares his thoughts with Leon, explaining that external appearances are meaningless in the grand scheme. True value, he believes, lies in the satisfaction and contentment of the people living on the land. Our boy encourages Leon to take pride in his role as a landowner and to honor his father's legacy, which deserves respect and admiration. Their journey, now filled with newfound insights, eventually leads them to a long-awaited reunion. Leon finally meets his father, Count Pars Slope, who immediately asks about his traveling companion. Leon hesitates but reveals that Mikhail Walpurgis has accompanied him. The mention of Mikhail triggers a chain of events. The Count, visibly troubled, retrieves a vial of medicine, showing clear concern. Leon notices his father's reaction and urges him to calm down, trying to ease the tension in the room. As the Count's emotions settle, he gestures for Leon to explain more. Leon recounts their visit to the Pars Slope territory, revealing that our boy has come seeking an audience to deliver important revelations. The Count listens intently, intrigued by the news. But just as things seem to calm down, Leon adds a new detail, his voice filled with concern. The mention of the dungeon quickly spreads through the room, breaking the calm atmosphere. Unexpectedly, the Count bursts into laughter, as if some weight had been lifted from his shoulders. In that moment, he signs a document, announcing that he is stepping down from his position. Leon, stunned by this sudden decision, protests, his emotions in turmoil. However, his father remains firm, urging Leon to understand the gravity of the situation. The rise of the Walpurgis family now poses a significant threat to the Pars Slope family, putting the secrets of the dungeon at risk. Leon, both concerned and confused, tries to reassure his father, promising that the dungeon's secrets will remain protected. The solution, he explains, lies in an offer from our boy Walpurgis, a chance to preserve the sanctity of their sacred place. The Count listens intently, his curiosity piqued. The Count, eager to know more, asks about the offer. Leon calmly explains that it involves the complete molar training method, a revelation that shocks the Count. The importance of this revelation becomes clear as Leon goes on to explain that Mikhail knows the complete molar training, which has led them to this point. The Count's interest deepens at the mention of this rare and valuable skill. Leon further elaborates that the promise made between Mikhail and himself involves transferring the knowledge of the molar training. The Count, understanding the importance of mage promises, begins to grasp the significance of the situation for the dungeon and the Pars Slope family. The true weight of the dungeon's heart is revealed to our boy Walpurgis, who is willing to trade the sacred molar training method for it. This stirs a burning question in the Count's mind. What secrets are hidden deep within the dungeon's depths? The desire to uncover those secrets grows stronger with each passing moment. With a determined resolve, Count Pars Slope decides to speak directly with our boy, prepared to confront the truth behind the offer. Meanwhile, the butler, ever composed and loyal, struggles with his growing concerns. He expresses his anxiety to Mikhail, focusing on the sanctity of the dungeon, which holds immense historical and traditional importance. Doubts arise as he wonders whether Mikhail truly understands the significance of the dungeon, and if he too has the right to claim ownership of it. Our boy remains calm and composed, his expression neutral. He points out a key aspect the butler has overlooked. As a keeper of knowledge, our boy is well aware of the Pars Slope family's reliance on the molar training method. This knowledge makes the trade's significance clearer. The dungeon is not merely a treasure trove but a source of frustration, having been plagued by past failures and attacks, thus changing the nature of the negotiations. Confident in his position, Mikhail believes the deal will work. He reassures the butler, explaining that once he speaks with Count Pars Slope, everything will become clear. Despite this, doubt still lingers in the butler's mind. He fears that even with Mikhail's status, Count Pars Slope will never allow access to the dungeon. Our boy's confidence remains unshaken. He assures the butler that Count Pars Slope will be persuaded in a moment. The butler, both amazed and skeptical, falls silent when the Count enters the room. Count Pars Slope's presence is commanding, and he carries the weight of responsibility. Our boy smiles knowingly, sensing that the situation is about to take a turn. The Count sits down, his gaze fixed on Mikhail. Having been informed by Leon about Mikhail's interest in the dungeon, the Count meets his gaze with curiosity. Our boy explains that a mage's thirst for the unknown makes the dungeon the perfect place to explore. The Count leans in, eager to hear more. Realization dawns on the Count that our boy holds the key to a deeper truth, one tied to the value of the molar training method. He wonders if Leon's passion for the training will match his own. Beneath Mikhail's calm exterior, the Count senses a growing understanding. The molar training method is only part of a larger picture, and the conversation will not be as straightforward as it first seemed. Thinking strategically, Mikhail shifts the conversation. He asks whether the Pars Slope family possesses the power to access the dungeon on their own, or if outside help will be needed. The Count, never one to boast, admits honestly that the family lacks the resources to raid the dungeon. Our boy hints at a more radical idea, suggesting an unexpected turn in the negotiations. An alliance, Mikhail proposes, sparking the Count's curiosity. Leaning forward, the Count asks if he intends to work with him, not as a member of the Walpurgis family, but as an individual. Mikhail confirms with a nod, explaining that they won't need a full team, just a select few. The Count asks how long our boy will need access to the dungeon. With a confident expression, Mikhail proposes just 1 day. Surprised by the short time frame, the Count asks what will happen if Mikhail fails. His response is simple. If he fails, the Count will receive the Muller training method. If he succeeds, he will claim half of the dungeon's treasure. United by their shared goal, the trio stands at the dungeon's entrance, ready to begin. The weight of their mission presses down on them as the unknown looms ahead. Leon, shocked, questions our boy's plan, wondering if it is really just the 3 of them who will enter the dungeon. The magnitude of the task unsettles him, but Mikhail's response is unwavering. Only those without doubt can proceed. As Leon prepares to step forward, our boy halts him, pointing out a hidden danger. A trap, he warns, lies ahead, and rushing in unprepared will lead to disaster. Leon, curious, asks about the trap and why they can't simply enter. Our boy explains that this dungeon is unlike any other. It is a living entity. The dungeon reveals its secrets as Mikhail illuminates the darkness. Unlike anything they've encountered before, it functions as a living organism, drawing energy to sustain itself. Entering unprepared would be like offering oneself as food, a fate met by past mercenaries. But Mikhail is ready. With the knowledge to handle the dungeon, he explains that by feeding it mana and using his special spell, they can break through its defenses. As he chants, strange sounds rise from within the dungeon, a mix of whispers and echoes from the past. Our boy urges the group to prepare as the entrance opens, revealing both treasures and dangers. A brilliant flash of light illuminates the dungeon's mouth, and Mikhail, familiar with the extraordinary, recognizes the significance of the moment. This is the first grave of the Asir, and the dungeon holds a relic of divine origin. Mikhail has encountered the relic before, alongside legendary comrades. Its mystery deepens with a prophecy from a saintly figure they met. She described the relic as a storm, growing stronger based on its possessor's talent. The first keeper of the relic, Siegfried, the infamous warrior, wasted its potential within a week. The relic was then placed in the Aesir's grave, marking the beginning of a long story. Determined not to repeat the past's mistakes, Mikhail aims to claim the relic, unlock its potential, and protect it. The trio moves deeper into the dungeon. Time freezes, the moment when the dungeon was first created. What they are witnessing is the result of a god-level skill. Our boy confirms the importance of their discovery, noting that crafting such a dungeon is no small feat. A shift in the air alerts our boy to something ahead. He quickly warns Leon as an army of goblins appears, ready for battle. Leon, sensing the urgency, suggests retreating and forming a plan. Mikhail, remaining calm, explains that victory isn't just about numbers. A direct attack, he says, will lead to unnecessary bloodshed. This, he reassures, is just the first gate of the dungeon. This is not a dungeon but a grave, and the grave was meant to be cleared by one man. With practiced instinct, Mikhail withdraws a dagger and begins etching intricate marks on the dungeon's walls. Leon, curious about his actions, watches as crystal residue falls to the ground and asks what he is doing. Our boy explains simply that he is scraping off the crystalline layers covering the etched letters. Leon, still puzzled, asks why. Our boy, holding the crystal remnants, reveals a key insight about goblins. They are drawn to these crystal shards, hoarding them with a greedy instinct. Continuing, Mikhail explains that the crystals are valuable not just for their physical form, but because of their hallucinogenic properties. By hiding the shards under a layer of magic and dispersing them, they can use this to their advantage. Using the crystal fragments, Mikhail sparks an explosion of greed among the goblins. Driven by their desire for the shards, the goblins turn on each other in violent chaos. He tosses the shards into the air, letting them spread toward the approaching horde. As the shards glisten, they create a burst of light, and when it fades, the goblins are in disarray, fighting each other in a chaotic scramble. With the first gate cleared, our boy notices something in the chaos, a magical artifact pulsing with power. His curiosity piqued, he bends down to retrieve the item. The goblins had unknowingly guarded a valuable treasure. Our boy examines the object in his hand and realizes it is a subspace pouch of the highest grade, a rare and powerful artifact. This discovery triggers memories from his previous life when he raided this dungeon but missed this important item. Frustration grows as he remembers the stupid warrior had killed the goblin and destroyed the pouch. Shouting in frustration, Mikhail vents his anger. Leon, noticing his strange behavior, turns to the butler for an explanation. The butler, used to Mikhail's eccentricities, reassures Leon that there is no need to worry. Examining the subspace pouch, our boy realizes it is the same one he lost in his previous life. As his frustration fades, he recognizes that finding it in the dungeon is significant. It could be a game changer for their journey. He asks Leon to hand over the pouch, and as he studies it closely, he discovers an inscription on the back. The words read, "Lay down the greatest greed." Driven by curiosity, the trio tries to understand the meaning of the message. The butler, experienced in deduction, suggests it might be a clue for the next stage of their journey. Attuned to the intricacies of the living dungeon, our boy concludes that the message, greatest greed, must be connected to something deep within the dungeon's depths. His thoughts turn to the Goblin King, a powerful figure among the goblins. He believes the Goblin Chief, as the embodiment of greed, holds the key to the puzzle. Mikhail suggests they must obtain a Goblin Chief stone and place it inside the infinite subspace pouch. Leon, eager to contribute, volunteers to handle the task. However, doubt flickers in Mikhail's eyes as he quickly refuses. Frustrated by the rejection, Leon questions why a mage would be better suited for the job. In that moment, an idea strikes him, turning the task into a test of skill. Leon proposes a wager. Both he and our boy will try to obtain a Goblin King stone, and the one who retrieves the better stone will win the infinite subspace pouch. Our boy accepts the challenge, and they both set off on their attempts. Leon unsheathes his sword with precision and successfully secures the Goblin King stone, his skill evident in the clean retrieval. Not far behind, Mikhail expertly retrieves his stone, which pulses with the lingering mana of the Goblin King. Leon, though impressed, realizes he has been outperformed. Mikhail places the stone into the infinite subspace pouch, and a key materializes before them. A massive door opens, revealing the next step in their journey. For our boy, this is a significant moment. He recognizes that he has never gone beyond the fourth gate in his previous life. A smile forms on his face, suggesting he has found a valuable shortcut. The trio moves through an ornate door and steps into a dimly lit chamber where their footsteps echo in the stillness. Leon, the youngest member of the group, grows curious about our boy. He turns to the trusted butler and asks why he doesn't seem to fit the typical mold of someone his age. The butler explains that Mikhail is the subject of many whispers and rumors, which turn out to be true. However, these rumors are more complex than they seem. Our boy is not the perfect example of skill, charisma, and insight that one might expect. He shares this fact only because he has chosen to reveal it. Leon finds this odd, as most people tend to hide the less flattering parts of their past. But our boy has chosen to accept and integrate them. Standing before the fourth gate, our boy speaks about feeling as though they have skipped over certain events to reach this point. The gate is important, yet it holds a mystery for him, as he has never reached it in his previous life. The gate is different from any other challenge Mikhail has faced. Ancient hieroglyphs cover its surface, and he begins to decipher the message. The inscription is cryptic, urging them to enter without overthinking. Deciding to move forward without overthinking, Mikhail begins to approach. Leon, cautious, suggests they proceed carefully. He understands the importance of being cautious when facing the unknown. Mikhail agrees, acknowledging they don't have enough information to make a fully informed decision. To prepare, Mikhail casts a protective spell on Leon and the butler, ensuring they are shielded from potential harm. With these precautions in place, our boy opens the door. Inside, the room is completely dark. Even his light magic can't fully dispel the darkness, and the room's size and boundaries are hidden in the blackness. Unease grips Mikhail, his primary concern being Leon's safety. Determined to resolve the situation for his young friend, he moves forward, spotting a figure ahead, armored and with its head lowered. The illusion becomes clear. It's not the real Leon. Our boy assesses it, impressed by its quality, yet he directly asks where the real Leon is. The illusion of Leon attempts to engage, asking why our boy is in such a hurry and suggesting they sit down to reminisce. Focused on the mission, Mikhail declines, sensing the illusion's attempt to distract him. The illusion escalates, attempting to manipulate him with a vivid memory that paints him as a coward who had abandoned others in the past. Mikhail stands firm, lowering his rating of the illusion. With calm precision, he summons his magic, dispelling the illusion of Leon, which crumbles into ashes. The oppressive power vanishes, leaving the room in an eerie silence. The butler breaks the silence, noticing strange crystals scattered around. His young master identifies them as mana crystals, explaining their value. The butler, his gaze shifting, notices Leon's distress. Confusion and despair cloud Leon's features. Our boy moves swiftly to his side, and the butler, concerned, asks what their next move will be. Mikhail's response is simple. He will snap Leon out of it. Trapped in his own memories, Leon is overwhelmed by the expectations placed on him by his father and the loyal servants. These illusions cloud his mind, making him forget their mission. Dark magic dims his once bright eyes. In Leon's mind, a plan begins to form. If Mikhail were to fall here, Leon's family would take control of the dungeon. But his main goal is to restore his family's honor, even if it means sacrificing his comrades. With his sword drawn, Leon prepares to confront our boy. A magic missile is fired, striking Leon with several arrows. Shocked by the attack, Leon realizes he's no match for our boy, especially since Mikhail knows everything about Leon's mana training. Leon believed death was inevitable as despair consumed him. But then something shifted. His eyes, once clouded by darkness, slowly returned to their normal color. A sense of clarity washed over him, signaling that something had changed. Our boy exhaled, feeling a sense of relief, and recognized that it was time to move on. Though still uneasy, Leon knows our boy is strong, and they must continue. As they descend deeper into the dungeon, the environment becomes more oppressive. The forest they pass through shifts into thick fog, disorienting them. Our boy, relying on his sharp instincts, realizes the fog isn't natural but intentionally created within the dungeon. The fog is now so dense that he can't see Leon or the butler. Confidently, Mikhail moves forward, relying on his instincts. As he ventures deeper into the dungeon, he eventually reaches the end of their journey and encounters a green-haired girl seated at a table, her expression enigmatic and smile cryptic. The girl greets him with an understated yet profound presence, offering no further explanation for her being there. Mikhail, unfazed, proceeds to inquire about her role within the dungeon, seeking to understand her purpose and authority in the situation. With a gentle smile, the girl's emerald eyes shimmer with an unsettling knowledge, revealing her awareness of the situation. She doesn't seem surprised by his approach, and Mikhail, sensing an opportunity, responds with a calm confidence that borders on audacity. His words reflect his belief that he's encountered similar situations before, and he's not fazed by what lies ahead. She dismisses the question with a wave of her hand, her smile shifting slightly, as though the nature of her authority is irrelevant. Before she can explain further, Mikhail interrupts, identifying her as Set, the guardian of storm, and linking her to the first shard of the god Asar. His declaration is met with surprise, and the girl reacts, her eyes wide in astonishment at his knowledge. Mikhail, unwavering, maintains that his actions and achievements have already proven his worth. He expects to receive the reward that is rightfully his. The girl, still puzzled by his certainty, asks how he came by this knowledge, but he responds cryptically, implying that this is not his first encounter with such a situation. Accepting his words, the girl's demeanor shifts, and she acknowledges that she has a duty to give the holy item to the one who is qualified. With a wave of her hand, a magic circle materializes before her, casting a brilliant green light. From it, a necklace forms, glowing with a vibrant aura. She explains that the item is a holy artifact, imbued with her powers, capable of transforming into a shield or a spear as needed for protection. She has never named it, but refers to it as Set Storm. As he takes the necklace, our boy feels an immediate sense of curiosity and anticipation. Holding the item in his hands, he senses something distinct about it, something different from what he had encountered in a previous life. The spirit notices his hesitation and reassures him of the necklace's authenticity. She assures him that she would never offer a counterfeit item to someone who has passed the fourth gate. Slowly, his confusion clears, and he realizes that if this item is indeed genuine, then the one he obtained in his previous life must have been a deceptive version, one that cost countless lives for a mere imitation. Finally, our boy, seeking clarity, asks if there is a way to acquire such a holy item if they were still at the third gate. The spirit responds firmly, explaining that there is no way to obtain the holy item at the third gate. It is a puzzle that requires thought, and without passing the third gate, one isn't worthy of the item. A nod follows as the necklace is placed around his neck. The pendant glows brightly and then shatters, enveloping him in a green aura. The spirit elaborates that the pendant is a complex barrier, designed to protect both body and soul. It can shield against an attack once a day, with its effectiveness increasing as strength grows. Though somewhat disappointed by its limits, appreciation for the protection provided remains. As the spirit's form begins to fade, a realization sets in. The time freeze spell is wearing off. He glances at the girl and, with curiosity, inquires if she would stay if she had the choice. The spirit, now almost translucent, gives a wistful smile. She explains that repairing the ancient magic barrier requires knowledge greater than that of a ninth circle mage, which is practically impossible. Still, there is a desire to see how the outside world has changed. Understanding the significance of her words, action is taken. Moving toward a wall marked with green lines and circles, a spherical object sits before it. Recognizing its role in the dungeon's operation, a decision is made to help the spirit. By manipulating the sphere, an enhanced time freeze spell is cast. A brilliant green light radiates from her form, and monocrystals begin to form, establishing a connection to the dungeon's inner workings. As the process continues, her ethereal essence begins to fade, her form shrinking. Something remarkable has been accomplished. The spirit, now smaller and bewildered by the change, becomes frustrated as she notices her diminished state. Recoil follows, her offense taken at the comment about finding her cute. She reminds him that she is one of the great apostles who served an old god. A quick apology is offered, explaining that her reduced size was necessary to prolong the time freeze spell. The outcome, he assures her, is favorable. Still struggling to understand what happened, the spirit questions his identity, amazed by his ability to perform a time freeze spell. With confidence, he claims that he isn't a ninth circle mage, but a genius with overwhelming talent. Her skepticism remains, and his answer only deepens the mystery surrounding him. As they travel in carriages, a large collection of monocrystals is carried by Mel and his companions. The soldier accompanying them stares at the radiant gems, marveling at their immense value and extraordinary quantity. The immense value of the monocrystals proves to be a game-changer for Count Parslope's coffers. He is impressed by Mel's accomplishment, admitting that he hadn't expected such a quick return without much trouble. With a confident reply, Mel explains that he never proposes anything he can't accomplish. Count Parslope jolts with realization. Mikhail, from the renowned Walpurgis family, has proven his skills time and again. The Walpurgis family's reputation for excellence momentarily slips his mind. As Mikhail reminds him of their agreement, the Count feels a tinge of regret, wishing he had negotiated for a better deal. However, it becomes clear that the Count's concession is likely an act. The pressure to conquer the dungeon has been mounting, and the Count has invested significant resources without any returns. Despite this, a powerful ally now stands with him, and the relief of their success overshadows his concerns. The Count reminds our boy of the promise to provide the Mulier training method, stressing its importance for learning at an early age. Always ready to fulfill his commitments, our boy suggests they begin the training that day. 4 days later, outside the mansion, soldiers whisper excitedly about the arrival of a new knight, a mysterious figure who has come specifically to train Leon. Rumors spread that this is no ordinary knight, but a mage of great skill. The scene shifts to the training grounds within Parslope's palace, where Leon trains hard under Mikhail's watchful eye. As Leon spars with intensity, Spirit Set asks Mikhail about his unconventional training methods, curious about why he trains Leon this way. Our boy responds thoughtfully, suggesting he might be too lenient. Spirit Set, surprised by his statement, jokes about the meaning of the word gentle, though her comment shows an appreciation for our boy's unorthodox approach. Mikhail explains that by incorporating the natural flow of mana, the training can be more effective. The focus is on making Leon more aware of mana. Mikhail believes knights do not need precise mana control, and this method is fitting for Leon's training. During the exercises, Leon struggles and cries out in pain, but Mikhail responds with congratulations instead of sympathy. Leon, confused about the nature of the training, receives an explanation from Mikhail that he learned this method from a highly qualified individual. Expecting the training to wear our boy down, Leon is unaware that our boy has a different goal in mind. Mikhail grows irritated with Leon's assumption and tells him to focus on channeling mana as instructed. As Leon complies, he feels his body relax and adjusts to the technique. Mikhail explains that the technique Leon used to deflect spells is a crucial part of the training. The next step is for Leon to master this method. As his confidence grows, his sword begins to glow with a blue aura. Recognizing that Leon is making rapid progress and nearing the final stage of the Muller's training method, our boy understands the importance of patience. After the training session, our boy retreats to a secluded area, ensuring there are no onlookers. Spirit Set, sensing something personal, questions why he needs solitude, but our boy assures her she can stay, explaining that he has his reasons. Our boy decides to test the full capabilities of the Storm Pendant. Activating it, a large green aura surrounds him. Spirit Set, curious, wonders if the goal is to test its defensive abilities or explore other functions. Mikhail explains that he wants to understand all the pendant's uses since it's a holy item infused with her power. Spirit Set, cautious but intrigued, asks if she can help explore its functions. Surprisingly, our boy asserts that she is about to do something she doesn't fully understand. This statement angers Spirit Set, but Mikhail continues with his experiment. He manipulates the pendant's powers, causing the green aura to intensify until it forms a massive sphere of energy. Spirit Set warns him to stop, concerned for his safety as the surge of energy could overwhelm him. However, our boy maintains precise control over the mana and the Storm Pendant, proving her concerns unnecessary. Having studied the pendant thoroughly, Mikhail understands how it works with the free circulation method. This method involves circulating mana in multiple directions, a task that once posed challenges. After struggling with it before, our boy is now ready to test his theory. Channeling a 6th circle spell, flames erupt into a blazing inferno. He quickly follows with a 7th circle spell, manipulating gravity. Rocks lift into the air, defying gravity. Spirit Set, amazed, watches as Mikhail unlocks the full potential of the Storm Pendant. A week has passed since our boy began mentoring Leon in the Muller's training method, guiding him through the complex and powerful techniques. The Muller's approach to swordsmanship is known for its complexity, requiring precision and discipline. Leon, dedicated to mastering it, sees tangible progress as he continues his training. Mikhail, watching Leon's development, is pleased with his rapid improvement. As Leon gains confidence in his abilities, a growing sense of accomplishment fills him. He realizes that, under our boy's guidance, he has perfected the technique. Mikhail, observing Leon's potential, imagines a future where Leon could rise to the rank of swordmaster in just a few years, becoming a powerful figure in swordsmanship. Curious, Leon asks our boy about his plans for the temple. He speculates that Mikhail is teaching him the Muller method to prepare him for a role in the temple's hero recruitment. Our boy responds carefully, momentarily forgetting the importance of the temple due to recent events, especially the acquisition of the first holy item. Mikhail refocuses on their mission, as Leon's question brings him back on track. Our boy acknowledges the need to find Cassandra before heading to the temple. Just as the conversation continues, a soldier arrives with urgent news about an unexpected visitor. Leon asks who the guest is, as no one had expected. Mikhail quickly deduces that the visitor is Eileen, a member of a well-known family. His deduction proves correct when they move from the training grounds to the living room, where Eileen awaits them. Concern shadows Eileen's face. Though the Parcelope family has lost much of its influence over time, she clings to her aspirations of becoming a knight. Her past, especially her entanglements with the Walpurgis family, complicates this ambition. Her father recently assured her that the Walpurgis family, led by the Marquis, would no longer meddle in her life. With her father's full support, Eileen is now free to make her own choices. Yet, the shame brought upon the Lindell family by her past mistakes weighs heavily on her. Determined to restore her family's honor and regain her father's trust, she resolves to challenge Leon Parcelope, the sword saint of the new era, to a duel. Victory, she believes, will prove her worth as a knight. Reflection on her plan is interrupted when our boy enters the room with his usual calm demeanor. Greeting her casually, he catches Eileen off guard. She questions his presence, and with a subtle smile, he reminds her that he is an invited guest, while her visit is the unexpected one. Assurances follow. He addresses any lingering concerns about their family's prior engagement, explaining that it ended amicably. Public announcements from both sides made it clear there was no doubt about his qualifications. The rumors that once questioned his abilities have long since been put to rest. Doubt lingers in Mikhail's mind about how Eileen views the events surrounding their families. When she inquires about Leon, he informs her that Leon is preoccupied with personal grooming and offers to keep her company in the meantime. Her purpose for visiting emerges. Eileen seeks to learn swordsmanship from another family, a bold request she acknowledges openly. Observing her keen skill with a blade, our boy recognizes her potential as a valuable ally in the fight against the demon god. Practicality shapes his thoughts. Eileen's strength, he realizes, could be an asset to their mission. His expression grows thoughtful, almost enigmatic, leaving her uneasy. The hint of an opportunity in his words confuses yet intrigues her. He notes that her desire to train with another family reflects a deeper drive for self-improvement and power. Support is offered to smooth over any tension with Leon, as Mikhail warns that Leon, known for his disciplined nature, may not appreciate an unannounced visitor. This gesture leaves Eileen momentarily speechless, unsure of how to respond. Training in the courtyard continues for Leon until our boy arrives, unexpectedly accompanied by Eileen. Surprise flashes across Leon's face as he senses something amiss. The concern, however, is brushed aside as Mikhail reassures him of his genuine intentions. Curiosity gets the better of Eileen. Leaning forward, she asks if her presence creates any issue, her voice steady but edged with uncertainty. The unexpected sight of Eileen leaves Leon momentarily speechless. Her unannounced arrival disrupts his routine, casting a sense of curiosity over the interaction. During the training session that follows, Eileen struggles against the relentless magic missiles conjured by our boy. Each attack tests her limits, while Leon showcases impressive resilience, enduring the onslaught with ease. A lapse in concentration causes Eileen to falter. Distracted by Leon's composed performance, she stumbles and falls, frustration evident in her expression. Turning to Mikhail, she questions the stark contrast in their abilities. His response is measured, pointing out that her struggles stem not from the difficulty, but from the openings in her defenses that invite failure. He encourages her to learn from these gaps and improve. The lesson, though acknowledged, doesn't lift her spirits. Doubts creep in as she perceives Leon's lack of interest in her progress, leaving her disheartened. Yet our boy sees promise in her efforts, quietly noting that her development aligns with his expectations. Confidence in her potential underpins his reassurances as the session winds down. He informs Eileen of his intention to speak with her privately, his tone leaving no room for argument. Confusion flashes across her face as she questions the true purpose of the rigorous training. A calm smile plays on his lips as he reveals the truth. This training, he explains, serves his enjoyment. Memories of a previous life surface, where Eileen's lack of strength had hindered their progress. This time, he is determined to help her reach her full potential. To further aid her growth, he offers to introduce her to a mentor capable of guiding her journey. The offer is met with a gentle but firm rejection. Eileen clarifies that her purpose for visiting lies elsewhere. Doubts about Mikhail's qualifications as a mage to provide effective training methods surface, her skepticism cutting through her words. Leon steps forward with enthusiasm, suggesting his own mentor instead. His unwavering confidence in this mentor surprises Eileen. He recounts how the mentor personally taught him the aura training method he now practices, a revelation that leaves her puzzled. Mikhail intervenes to clarify. While unable to perform the method himself, his deep theoretical understanding enables him to teach it effectively. Leon's unwavering support bolsters the explanation, gradually dispelling Eileen's doubts. Realizing the unfairness of her earlier skepticism, she offers a heartfelt apology. The sincerity of her words catches him off guard. Curiosity lights his eyes as he asks why she feels the need to apologize. Her explanation reflects newfound respect, acknowledging the well-meaning nature of his advice. Regret for her earlier rudeness colors her tone, revealing a side of Eileen he hadn't expected to see. A questioning glance from our boy prompts Eileen to demand an explanation. He waves off her concern with a casual assurance that nothing is wrong, though his joking remark about her guilty conscience stings her pride. Annoyed, she brushes it off and redirects the conversation, insisting he proceed with introducing her to the mentor. Instead of complying immediately, he leans back with a composed expression and declares he won't share such valuable information without something of equal worth in return. The demand makes her pause. A suggestion of deferred payment is quickly rejected, leaving her no choice but to sigh and retrieve a flawless monocrystal from her pocket. The rare and gleaming crystal surprises him. Eileen explains that she had intended to use it for negotiations, given its immense value in dungeon expeditions. The revelation stirs suspicion in Mikhail's mind, drawing him to question how much the Lindell family knows about the Peril family's dungeon ventures. The cunning influence of her grandfather seems to linger behind her actions, affirming suspicions of meticulous orchestration. Acknowledging both her resourcefulness and readiness, he accepts the crystal. Shifting the focus, he brings up a legendary figure, asking if she has heard of the Arbiter of Lawlessness. Excitement lights up Leon's eyes as he jumps in, describing the figure as the oddball of the Western era, a swordmaster unaffiliated with any empire. The title prompts a nod of agreement. Our boy introduces the figure as Milium Arielon, the sword overlord of the West, renowned for defeating the 7th Legion commander of the Demon God's army. He then reveals that Milium will serve as the mentor he mentioned earlier. Doubt clouds Eileen's face as she questions how someone from his family could secure Milium's cooperation, especially when even the Margrave of the West failed. A refusal to elaborate meets her inquiry, leaving her to dwell on the mystery. Turning to Leon, Mikhail reminds him of their earlier discussion about the temple. Leon confirms his understanding and asks about the timing. With calm precision, the meeting is scheduled for the next day, and an invitation is extended to Eileen, instructing her to prepare for a journey to the capital. The sudden decision catches her off guard. Demands for an explanation rise, questioning the need for her involvement and the trip's purpose. His response is vague but firm, urging trust in the process and stressing the urgency of learning the training method. Thoughts drift toward the region's turmoil, the contentious hero selection event, and the mysterious presence of the Arbiter of Lawlessness in the capital. These developments weave into his plans, offering an opportunity to address multiple issues. Frustration grows as Eileen presses for clarity, yet her persistence is met with deflections. The lack of transparency leaves her uneasy about the role she is to play in the unfolding chaos. The scene shifts to a grand palace where our boy sits on a regal chair. A mystical spirit, Seth, appears and engages him in conversation. Seth comments on the lively nature of the young individuals they had encountered, contrasting their energy with Mikhail's calm and reserved demeanor. Encouragement to adopt a more carefree attitude follows. But our boy, acknowledging his complex character, admits that his experiences over the years have left him with a touch of corruption. Seth inquires about the monocrystal and his plans for it. Explaining that he intends to use it to craft a personal artifact, as most mages would, Mikhail listens as Seth expresses admiration for his innovative ideas and presses for details about the artifact. The possibilities are vast, given the variety of ingredients available, and he reveals that his intention is to create a staff, which piques Seth's curiosity. Practical concerns about needing a medium to hold the monocrystal in place and a tree with at least 100 years of holy power to manage the crystal's energy are raised by Seth. Assurance follows as our boy explains that he has a plan to acquire what is necessary. Though acknowledging his confidence, Seth remains puzzled by the earlier cryptic hints. Choosing not to clarify, he hints at using a branch from the world tree in his plans. Flustered by his deduction, Seth asks how he had figured out her connection to the world tree. Calmly explaining that it hadn't been difficult to deduce, Mikhail mentions that he is in the process of planning the creation of a staff using mana crystals as powerful artifacts. Refining the crystals to craft a unique orb is described as a task that would not be easy due to the challenges of refining mana crystals. The refining process is known to be a challenging one, with a failed attempt capable of destroying an entire territory. Confidence remains firm. As our boy explains, he had refined mana crystals many times before his regression and perfected the technique. Seth asks how he plans to manage the many mana circuits within the crystal. An additional spell will remain active, allowing control of the crystal. To bypass the mana limit, he intends to use a combination of 4 specific spells: Special Engraving, Mana Control, Amplification, and Spell Attachment. Amazement follows as Seth questions how he developed such expertise, typically found only in high sorcerers. Attributing it to a mix of natural talent and patience, Mikhail notes Seth's lingering skepticism. Using blood to alter the crystal's properties and imprint his mana signature marks the final step of the process. As the blood is applied, the crystal transforms, turning a deep black. Seth observes that the color of the orb usually reflects a mage's unique mana properties. Rare compatibility with all forms of magic makes him an exception to the usual rules, as our boy explains. Surprise flashes across Seth's face as he manipulates the crystal with a fireball, causing its color to change again, this time to a vibrant red. The shift signals a decrease in mana consumption and an increase in efficiency. Testing the maximum output of the newly refined crystal becomes the next eager step. The next day, Mikhail meets with Leon, who informs him that Orc Barrack in the mountains had been destroyed the previous night. While it is a relief to be rid of the monster, Leon's father has been searching for it ever since. Our boy seems unfazed, and Leon, realizing something is amiss, suspects Mikhail is responsible. With a grin, our boy confirms Leon's suspicion, praising the orcs on his territory. Leon is frustrated with Mikhail's unpredictable actions. An old man speaks with the holiness about a prophecy that had been foretold. The old man had shared the prophecy as instructed, but it seems Archbishop Naren did not respond well to the news. The holiness acknowledges the difficulty of convincing others about the significance of the prophecy, recognizing that it has set a poor precedent. Despite these challenges, the holiness remains determined, emphasizing the importance of monitoring the prophecy. The old man reports that they have not yet located Cassandra, the prophet in question. He suggests that sometimes ignoring a prophecy could be beneficial, as it would pose minimal risk. However, the holiness has doubts about this approach and believes they should not ignore Cassandra's prophecy entirely. The holiness hopes that someone will eventually be willing to work with them. Eileen asks our boy about the prophecy they are planning to investigate. Mikhail confirms that their journey is related to the prophecy. Eileen expresses doubt about the reliability of prophecies, noting how difficult it is to interpret visions accurately. Our boy agrees with Eileen's skepticism, acknowledging that prophecies are uncertain and unreliable. He also points out that even after translation, there is no sign that the prophecy will be fulfilled soon. Our boy mentions that, at this point, becoming a hero holds little value since heroes are most needed when there's an urgent threat. However, he argues that their journey still holds value, as traveling to the capital will allow them to make important connections with people from the divine country. Eileen questions the importance of these connections, and our boy emphasizes their significance in the larger context. Eileen then asks about the Arbiter of Lawlessness, and our boy reassures her that they can make contact with this figure once they reach the capital. Mikhail has one final goal: to find Cassandra. He asks his butler about the progress of a task he had assigned earlier. The butler informs him that agents from the divine country have been sent to search for the prophet, but Cassandra has not been found. It is also reported that Cassandra had been seen with a knight at the border before going into hiding. She left a cryptic message which intrigues our boy. The butler reveals that Cassandra's message said she would be waiting for something or someone, sparking Mikhail's curiosity. Their journey begins with our boy using his teleportation magic to transport his group to the grand capital city. However, one of the group members, Leon, is uncomfortable with the magic. He feels nauseous and voices his dislike for relying on magic. Leon is frustrated by their choice of transportation. While horses and carriages are available, they have used magic for convenience. Mikhail, calm as always, explains that magic is the fastest way to their destination and has brought them to the capital city quickly. Leon remains skeptical and, as they enter the city, is struck by its grandeur. The capital city seems far more impressive than any other city they have encountered. Eileen admires the city's elegance but isn't as enthusiastic as Leon. Our boy agrees with Eileen's view, which adds to Leon's frustration, as he hoped for support in his criticism of magic. As the group marvels at the capital's magnificence, Mikhail briefly reflects on the past before focusing back on their mission. The group moves toward the central temple, keeping their focus on the mission. However, their path is interrupted when Seth points out a scene nearby. A young girl is confronting a bandit, warning him about the consequences of his actions. Intrigued, our boy watches the situation unfold. The bandit, ignoring the girl's threats, raises his hand to strike her. Unwilling to let harm occur, Mikhail uses his shield magic to protect the girl. Just as the bandit is about to strike, a knight appears, drawing his sword. The knight's blade cuts through our boy's shield, disintegrating it, and the bandit is knocked to the ground, ending his assault. Mikhail quickly scolds the knight for using violence in the capital city. The knight's actions are questioned, but our boy, ever the diplomat, urges him to sheath his weapon to prevent further escalation. The girl asks the knight to stop and expresses her happiness at meeting Mikhail, which sparks curiosity in the group about their connection. When our boy asks if they've met before, the girl gives a cryptic answer, suggesting they haven't. Leon, tired of the situation, suggests they move away from the growing crowd. Mikhail agrees but uses his hold magic to immobilize the defeated bandit and quickly searches his belongings. The bandit, frustrated, protests the search. Our boy calmly explains that he's returning a pouch to its rightful owner, pointing out a symbol on it that links it to the divine country. The bandit claims it's his, leading to a brief exchange. Mikhail leans in and quietly warns the bandit about the inconsistency of his actions. Leaving the bandit with a warning, our boy tells him to pass on a message to a brown rat and to understand its significance. Before the bandit can respond, Mikhail silences him and instructs him not to speak. The pouch is returned to its rightful owner, the mysterious girl. Leon and Eileen, still puzzled by the cryptic exchange, are left confused by the girl's words. The butler suggests that she might be a prophet, a thought that shocks the group as they try to understand its implications. Noticing the group's confusion, the girl spoke up, her voice carrying a quiet authority as she introduced herself. Her name was Cassandra. The scene shifts to the city's sewers, where the bandit from earlier is reporting to a higher authority. Still shaken from his encounter with the group, the bandit explains the cause of his distress. He informs his boss that a Walpurgis is actively searching for him, and had attempted to retrieve the stolen pouch. Initially dismissive, the boss's attitude changes to frustration and anger. He had expected little from the young Walpurgis. Viewing them as an insignificant threat, the boss chastises the bandit for returning empty-handed, especially after being outwitted by a child. In his anger, the boss summons a monstrous creature to deal with the bandit. As the creature closes in on him, the bandit recalls Cassandra's warning about getting into trouble. But it's too late. The creature kills him quickly and brutally. The boss, now in a difficult situation, ponders how to deal with the growing conflict with the Walpurgis. Suddenly a knight with striking purple hair appears in the sewer, adding more complexity to the situation. The knight stands at a crossroads, needing answers that the boss of the bandits can provide. Amused by the turn of events, the boss grins and chuckles. Determined, the knight points her sword at the bandit boss, demanding answers. She makes it clear that any attempts at deception will have serious consequences. Realizing the danger, the boss tries to strike a deal with the knight, recognizing her skill as a swordmaster. He begs her to spare his life, warning that her child will remain elusive if he dies. He offers valuable information in exchange for her agreement to a task. Intrigued, the knight asks what he wants from her. The boss, his face shadowed, reveals that a figure named Walpurgis is involved in their current predicament. Cassandra requests a private meeting with our boy and asks the butler, Eileen, and Leon to wait for her return. Leon, possibly frustrated from earlier events, decides to proceed with the preparations at the temple and invites Mikhail to join him after his discussion with Cassandra. Eileen also chooses to accompany Leon to the temple, but before leaving, our boy stops her for a brief exchange. He quietly warns her to be cautious in dangerous situations, and she nods in acknowledgement. With the group gone, Mikhail can now focus on Cassandra. Eager to learn the reason she sought him out, he listens intently. Cassandra explains her extraordinary ability to foresee the future. She asks our boy if he has ever received the blessing of prophecy. Since childhood, she has experienced visions of future events, often unwanted and troubling. These premonitions include the deaths of friends and catastrophic events, such as carriages being destroyed. Her desire to prevent these tragedies only seems to make things worse, creating a cycle of repeating disasters. One of her most troubling visions is of the arrival of a demon god and the potential end of the world. Desperate, Cassandra turned to the Pope, hoping to be taken seriously, but her pleas were ignored. The burden of her gift and the isolation it caused had become too much to bear. Cassandra's unique gift has left her isolated and suffering. On the brink of hopelessness, one of her visions changes, merging with another sight. A meeting with a man, Mikhail. She sees this as her final chance to understand and control her ability, so she seeks him out. Our boy admits he is not a prophet and has no similar gifts. Cassandra is disappointed but finds hope in his willingness to help. He expresses curiosity about her ability and the possibility of altering destiny through her visions. Touched by his sincerity, Cassandra decides to trust him completely. From that moment, Mikhail and Cassandra form a connection based on shared hope and curiosity about fate. At the temple, Leon arrives to register as a hero. He introduces himself and urges the registrar to speed up the process. The registrar, however, reminds him that only genuine heroes are sought and emphasizes the importance of proper conduct. Leon assures him of his sincerity, while Eileen and the butler wait with him for our boy. As they turn, expecting Mikhail, an unexpected figure appears instead, the knight from the underground. Identity hidden behind a steel mask, the knight approaches with purpose and demands information about a child who had visited. In the temple's sacred halls, Leon and Eileen find themselves in a tense situation with the powerful knight. The knight's intimidating presence forces them to quickly draw their swords, ready for any confrontation. Eileen, despite the tension, remains curious about the knight's motives. Eileen looks to Leon for any clue about the identity of the imposing knight, but Leon is as uncertain as she is. All he can confirm is the knight's exceptional skill with a sword. The knight, unfazed by their defensive stance, repeats her demand for the location of the child who had been with them. Leon thinks of Cassandra, the prophet meeting with our boy, but he refuses to reveal any information, believing it unnecessary. Without warning, the knight moves swiftly, striking Leon and knocking him to the ground. At the same time, Eileen is thrown into the air and falls hard, leaving her shaken and bruised. Despite her injuries, Eileen sternly warns the knight that such actions in the Empire's central temple will not go unpunished. The knight, undeterred by the warning, shows no concern for the consequences. She states confidently that her true identity will never be uncovered, leaving Leon and Eileen stunned by her strength and resolve. Still holding her ground, the knight declares that anyone seeking to harm her must first present the head of a Lindell, a rare and dangerous creature, as proof of their resolve. Eileen, shaken and bewildered by the knight's firm stance, struggles to decide her next move. Suddenly a memory surfaces for Eileen. She recalls Cassandra, the prophet, and the promise Mikhail made to find her. The name Karyaman comes to mind, and Eileen considers whether it might connect these events. Testing her hunch, she calls out the name. The knight immediately turns her attention to Eileen, her reaction swift and intense. She demands to know how Eileen knows the name, leaving Eileen stunned. Despite this, the knight reveals nothing further about herself. As the tension grows, our boy steps forward from the shadows, calm and composed. He states he has the answers needed, offering to clarify the situation. The knight reluctantly asks Mikhail about his identity. He confirms without hesitation that he is a Walpurgis, a revelation that surprises the knight. She mockingly questions his boldness, implying she should dictate the terms of their encounter. Her laughter carries an unsettling edge, hinting at a hidden instability beneath her composed exterior. The spirit accompanying Mikhail warns him to remain cautious. In response, he casts a defensive spell called Circle Expansion, surrounding himself with protective magical circles. The knight reacts swiftly, attacking with her sword. Our boy manages to block the strike with his shield, holding his ground. Despite the attack, he tries to initiate a conversation to understand the knight's motives and find clarity in the situation. However, the knight shows no interest in dialogue, remaining focused on her goal. As the fight continues, Mikhail considers the time limit of his Circle Expansion spell, which will last only 5 minutes. Recognizing the need for strategy, he prepares to evade the knight's relentless attacks while waiting for an opportunity to counter. He casts a unique spell known as the Quad Casting spell, stacking 4 layers of haste and eagle eye to enhance his speed and perception. The effects take hold instantly, allowing him to move with exceptional agility. With newfound grace, he avoids the knight's persistent sword strikes and quickly closes the distance. Using his massive gravity spell, he targets the knight's blade, delivering a powerful blow that unleashes a burst of magical energy. Despite the force of the attack, the knight holds firm, successfully blocking it. Showing impressive composure, the knight readies another strong sword swing. At this critical moment, Leon steps in, reminding the knight that our boy is primarily a mage and not trained in the manipulation of aura, emphasizing his non-combatant role. The knight's aggressive actions prompt Mikhail to question her intentions. In response, she summons her aura, a powerful glow enveloping her and her sword, signaling her readiness to challenge him. The swirling energy hints at an impending display of power. Undeterred, our boy calls upon Seth the Spirit for assistance. Seth quickly responds, unleashing a torrent of green mana that surrounds Mikhail in a storm-like swirl. The mana disperses the knight's azure aura, momentarily leaving her stunned. Despite this apparent victory, our boy strains his body to withstand the immense energy. Concerned, Seth notes the toll it has taken, but he assures her he is unharmed. Surprised by the turn of events, the knight questions the nature of Mikhail's defenses. He deflects the question, implying that some secrets are better left undisclosed. Intrigued, the knight observes that our boy bears a strong resemblance to someone named Idan, whom she refers to as that snake. Mikhail confirms the connection, revealing that Idan is his father. With a knowing smile, our boy shifts the dynamic of the conversation. He questions whether his revelation about his identity is enough to prove his intentions. The knight, showing a trace of approval, acknowledges its authenticity but remains pressed for time, her urgency clear. She asks Mikhail how he came to know her name. He attributes their encounter to chance, recalling an incident where he offered water to an exhausted traveler. He had asked the traveler about his destination, a question that now seems central to understanding the knight's identity. Curious, the knight demands more information, specifically where the boy had intended to go. Our boy remains firm, convinced the boy had deliberately kept his destination a secret. Despite this, the knight stresses her obligation to find the child, her tone revealing a strong sense of duty. Mikhail takes the opportunity to share another key detail, his expression calm but purposeful as he prepares to reveal more. He hints at an important detail that could provide new insight into the situation, referencing a deeper conspiracy. He quietly whispers the name Sir Milliam. Upon hearing this, the knight is left speechless. In a dark, underground labyrinth, the bandit boss, Goreth, inspects the imprisoned children. The torchlight casts shadows on their faces, showing their despair. Goreth, a cruel figure, surveys the scene with disdain. His attention falls on one particular child, and a question arises in his mind about the child's appearance. He points at the child, doubting their value. A subordinate, eager to please, explains that the children might appeal to buyers who prefer obedient types. However, this explanation does little to calm Goreth's growing frustration. With a swift motion, he signals his impatience. Goreth kicks his lackey in the midsection for his disrespect. He scolds him, explaining that customers do not want obedience, but rather to break those who appear tough and force them into submission. Goreth, not in a particularly bad mood, warns the lackey that he is lucky today. Otherwise, he would feed him to the shadows. Despite his anger, Goreth feels some relief that he has controlled his temper for now. As he reflects on the situation, Goreth finds comfort in knowing he has a powerful ally in the great swordmaster, who once had a child named Karan, a former prisoner behind these iron bars. Suddenly, a messenger enters the room, bringing news about the prophet's location. Goreth, always seeking valuable information, eagerly asks about the prophet's fate. The scene shifts to the temple, where our boy, a powerful figure, talks with Archbishop Arley. Mikhail speaks of the underworld's dark plans, revealing that a malevolent force wants the prophet's prophecies for their own gain. Archbishop Arley, a figure of authority, listens attentively. At first, the Archbishop dismisses the idea, doubting that such dangerous elements would challenge the Empire's authority. However, Seth, confident and resolute, suggests a connection to heresy. The Archbishop, shocked by the bold accusation, demands proof. At this moment, the Lady Knight, a symbol of bravery, steps forward. She explains the plot to kidnap the Prophet, a sinister plan that our boy had stopped. Her story reveals a complex web of danger, setting the stage for a confrontation with the underworld. The knight vows to use her sword to bring justice, promising to eliminate Gorath, the mastermind behind the shadows. The Archbishop, still processing the shock of this revelation, listens as the knight drops another bombshell. Gorath, the elusive figure behind the underworld, is actually a monstrous monarch controlling the shadows. Archbishop Arley, accustomed to bearing heavy responsibility, visibly reacts to the shocking truth. The knight calmly reminds him of the gravity of the situation. The name Odious Monarch causes fear in the ecclesiastical chambers, as it is linked to the 12 monsters who once served the demon god. Seth confirms that the Odious Monarch is hiding in the heart of the capital. The Archbishop, troubled by this revelation, questions Seth's certainty. If the servant of the demon god is truly in the city's shadows, the consequences would be severe. Mikhail then questions the Archbishop's understanding of his prophetic duties. Caught between divine expectations and his own lack of knowledge, the Archbishop hesitates. Doubt appears in his eyes as he realizes that his authority is weakening. Our boy considers that if the Archbishop contradicts his words, he would be opposing the entire country, as the demon servant, long believed to be gone, has been hiding in the capital under the Archbishop's watch. Mikhail believes this could cause the Archbishop to lose face, and tells him that he can help fix the problem. Our boy tells the Archbishop that he will subjugate the odious monarch with Sirmilium, but he needs one promise from the Archbishop. The Archbishop asks what the promise is, and Mikhail explains that it's about the hero selection. Our boy believes it's not too much to ask, as it's just an incarnation. The Archbishop, understanding the seriousness of the situation, agrees to Mikhail's condition. He vows to support Mikhail's claim as the hero if Mikhail succeeds in subjugating the odious monarch. The Archbishop, using a quill as a symbol of divine authority, makes the promise. A pact is formed in the ethereal ledger of destiny, binding their fates together. The trio leaves the temple, feeling the weight of their collective destinies. As they step out, the Lady Knight expresses her gratitude to Seth, acknowledging that without his help, Gorath would still be controlling her. The knight wonders if our boy has told Lindell's child the truth, considering the complex relationships involved in their lives. He explains that his knowledge comes from a brief conversation, which nearly led him into Gorath's trap. The Lady Knight, eager to reunite with her child, asks Mikhail if it is possible to find her child. He asks what she would do if he could. The knight, frustrated by pointless games, responds that she hates such tactics, especially when it involves her child. With determination, the Lady Knight slams her sword into the stone floor and promises that if our boy reunites her with her child, she will dedicate her sword to him. Our boy, satisfied with his success, realizes that he has achieved his goal in the capital. The city, once unaware, now stands on the verge of change, its fate uncertain. Meanwhile, in the lawless lands, a woman is caught in a tragic tale. Her husband, once a guiding light in a dark world, is killed by a group of rogues. The story begins with her seeking revenge, which leads her into a confrontation with lawlessness itself. Driven by grief and a desire for vengeance, she avenges his death but finds that hatred still lingers within her, overshadowing her soul. Her quest to understand why her husband died takes her deeper into the world of lawlessness. She uncovers harsh truths. Lawlessness is the force behind many of the tragedies in a land where chaos rules. Ferocious beasts roam freely, preying on the weak, and suffering is common. In this world, she steps into a new role as the arbiter of lawlessness.